Hey, this is Kevin Kelly, and you are listening to the Stardom Cast.
This is Jesse from Club Venus from Stardom, and you're watching Stardom Cast.
Hello guys and welcome to the Stardom Cast, your weekly audio source of all things World Wonder Ring Stardom. I'm your host, Rob Goodwin, and I am joined by the man, the myth, the legend, one half of Blue and Gold. It's only Matt Turner. Matt Turner, how are you, good sir?
Rob Goodwin, my brother, I am phenomenal today. And this is going to be an absolutely loaded show. We have so much to talk about before we record it. Rob said, I think this is going to go 2.5 hours. So that's the under-over, folks. We shall see, because we have 3 shows to talk about. We have Mayu versus Mina to talk about. And apologies to our Patreon listeners. We usually drop this first thing on Thursday morning. This is going to come to you a little bit later on Thursday evening. And the reason why is, not only is Rob Goodwin a phenomenal author and a phenomenal talent, not only is he extremely handsome, but he does come up with some really good ideas from time to time, folks. And what I mean by that is, normally what we usually do is we record Wednesday evening. So this way, again, for our Patreon members, it's their first thing Thursday morning. Well, Wednesday morning, he texted me and he said, hey, do you want to record later on Thursday? Because Thursday morning, they're going to drop the Cinderella brackets, and I'd like to talk about it. I said, Rob, absolutely. That's a great idea. Boy, howdy, buddy. Not only did they drop the Cinderella brackets, they released a whole ton of information. So, obviously, which we'll get into. So, apologies to the Patreon members. Sorry for this is a handful of hours late, but I promise you it will be worth it. So much exciting stuff to talk about, my friend. However, I don't want to start the podcast on a negative note, but I think it is worth mentioning that I would like to briefly discuss the passings of 2 professional wrestling legends this past week, one in Ole Anderson and the other in Virgil. And what I like to do, buddy, is I'm just going to say a few things about the 2, and then I'm going to tag you in, and you can say whatever you'd like to say. But Ole Anderson is somebody that I have a lot of newer tag team wrestlers that want to be like old school heels. Sometimes they don't want to do all the crazy acrobatic stuff that it's really difficult to do. And they want to be crazy old school heels, and they'll ask me, what are some teams to watch? And one of them I always say is Ole and Arn Anderson. Obviously Ole is one of the founding members of the Four Horsemen, with Ric Flair, Arn Anderson, of course, Tully Blanchard. And we talk about in the show a lot, especially on Oedo Tai matches, because Oedo Tai are the true heels of Stardom. When we talk about cutting the ring off, and nobody in a tag match ever cut their ring off better than one Ole Anderson. He was really a mastermind on how wrestling and tag team wrestling should go when you have a clear baby face and a clear heel. They were really the ones that really helped Ricky Morton and Robert Gibson, the Rock and Roll Express, have perfect timing when it comes to the hot tags. So, we always talk a lot about selling on the show, like, how the way that Mayu is just a phenomenal seller. I always say she's in the Ricky Morton level of selling. There's not too many wrestlers that are like that. And I always say Ricky Morton is easily the greatest seller in the history of professional wrestling. Ricky Morton does not get there anywhere near there if he did not have that really, really long program with Ole and Arn Anderson, just because of just the way that Ole was able to torture Ricky Morton in certain things. So, yeah, it's a sad day that we lost Ole Anderson. And then also just a day or two before we record this, we lost Virgil. And Rob, as you know, maybe some of our listeners know, growing up in the 80s and 90s, I was a diehard WWF fan. It was really the only thing I watched. I'd watch some WCW or NWA from time to time, but I was a diehard WWF fan. And that $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase gimmick was absolutely, pun intended, money. I mean, just the way that it was, the way that it was structured and whatnot, and that gimmick wouldn't have gotten over to the degree that it did without Virgil. Now, nothing to take away from the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase, who's one of the all-time great talents in the history of pro wrestling, but it would never have really steamrolled right into the main event scene without one Virgil. And even the way they slow burn Virgil's babyface turn. I remember when I was very young, just kind of watching Superstars and Wrestling Challenge with my dad on Saturday and Sunday mornings. And he would even tell me, he's like, I can kind of tell Virgil's getting sick of the $1 Million Man. I think there's going to be a big blow up here. And I'm like, Dad, I'm 5 or 6 years old. I'm like, Dad, what are you talking about? And I just kept a close eye on it. And I was like, I've never seen a turn, a baby face turn like that really had the slow burn. And Virgil did a great job, doing the big baby face turn. And then what they did is maybe about a year into his babyface run, they put him with Roddy Piper, which is that's instant, main event credibility. So it's really sad. Virgil was only 61, and I think it was just yesterday, partner, me and you were texting, and I was telling you about a year and a half ago, I was on a show with Virgil. Virgil, obviously, he didn't work the show or do anything. He was just there signing autographs and doing his merch table gimmick. And our merch table, me and Andy had our blue and gold. Our merch table was directly across from his, and just able to watch like the master work the room. It's almost like sitting there trying to watch Ricky Steamboat in 89, 90 work a match, You're watching him, just the way he works. He able to, pull people in. And after everything was all said and done and the show was getting ready to start, me and Andy walked over there and we went to go shake Virgil's hand, and he couldn't even lift his arm up really all the way to shake your hand. And you know how, like, when you go to shake when you go to shake somebody's hand, you put your, whole hand out almost like it's like a fire hose. Poor guy couldn't even do that. Like his hand was like almost like shaking, like almost like a limp, like dish towel. And you can tell he was in really, really bad health then. And then, I think about a year or so later that I read that, he was pretty much dead broke, living in shelters, and it's just, to lose somebody somebody that was so iconic to my childhood at just 61 years old. Not only that, but the fact that his quality of life couldn't have been good for the last 2 or 3 years. But these are two legends that'll, Ole Anderson and Virgil, that I've had so many great memories with. And, as a child, and even studying Ole Anderson as I got into the business. But those are two guys, my friend, that'll live on forever.
Yeah, for Virgil especially, it's a shame that, yes, the WrestleMania 7 moment, one of the best moments of the early WrestleManias, huge pop, and, a really good cathartic moment and way to cap off that storyline. But it's a shame that in his later years, he was sort of known more as, a hustler and sort of, doing anything for a buck. And when you look at his later life, and like I said, living in shelters, his health was really bad, and it's just a real shame that that's the point it got to. 61 really is no age now. When you consider we've got people living, well into their 90s and things, 61 feels too soon. Ole Anderson, one of the greats, one of the pioneering forces, as you said, of the Four Horsemen, great work with the NWA and WCW. It's sad that we're living in a time now where obviously we're seeing all of these legends pass, and obviously you paid great testament to them, my friend, and obviously all that's really left for me to say is that our thoughts and prayers and everything and good vibes are going out to the families of Ole Anderson and Virgil, and may they rest in peace. Moving on slightly, as Matt has mentioned, this episode is going to be very news heavy. We have got a whole raft of news and announcements to get to. We've also got the Mayu Iwatani and Mina Shirakawa match from the New Japan New Beginning in Sapporo show from Friday the 23rd to talk about, as well as 3 shows from Stardom itself. So we've got lots and lots to talk about. This serves me right for making a joke last week that, it's a quiet week this week. They've doubled down this week on the news. But before we get into any of that, Matt Turner, what is coming up on the Patreon this week?
On the Patreon earlier this week, our alternate commentary that myself and one Rob Goodwin released was Julia defending the World of Stardom Championship against Suzu Suzuki from Supreme Fight 2023. Also, we released the roundtable discussion that I did with one Scotty Wrestling as to who had the better run in the 5-star Grand Prix. Was it Sherry's 2021 or Julia's 2022? So it was always good to catch up with our good friend One Scott E Wrestling. And also, it should be available either later today or tomorrow. We did have a little bit of a windstorm last night and knocked out some of the power. So I actually just talked to editor-in-chief Sean. So it should be up either Thursday or Friday or maybe the weekend. So we did lose some power in my area. But our the what if episode that I know a lot of our Patreon listeners have been asking for us to do. I did what if with my tag partner and good friend, Andy Header. What if Team Blue and Gold were in current day Stardom and we basically fantasy book if we were in current day Stardom? Now, you have to bear with Andy just a little bit as my portion is way much longer than his. He's only been watching Stardom for a handful of months, but we're definitely going to have him back on the show maybe in 3 or 4 months, maybe just to do a general chat and interview with both myself, Rob, and Andy, because Andy is always very entertaining. Now, Rob, I just want to put some selling points out to this interview. There is a portion in this what if that I book us in the Tokyo Dome with you as our manager.
Oh, wow.
So I just want, I just want to make that selling point. And Andy's he's very animated. He's very entertaining, but he's a big fan of the heavy metal music scene, as I am. And he made a really good point that I never thought about when he talked about American women's wrestling is very much like the Metallica albums Load and Reload. They're good. They're very good. But compared to Joshi, especially Stardom, the Stardom scene is very much like Ride the Lightning and Master of Puppets. I really thought that was a really good point that he brought out. He said, I've been watching American women wrestling. He's like, forever. And I always thought it was like some of the stuff was really good or excellent. Some of the other stuff it is what it is. He's like, then I got into Stardom, based on listening to us on the podcast and just about, I would always just talk him up about Stardom because of how much I love this company, obviously. He's like, and then I started watching and I got hooked. And it's like that was the first thing he said. He's like, boy, Load and Reload are really good albums, but if you have the time and you already have the Master of Puppets Ride the Lightning right there, I recommend you listen to Master of Puppets and Ride the Lightning. So again, folks, I apologize for the delay, but that should be up again probably either Thursday or Friday. So always good chatting with Andy, and especially where we have a very, very entertaining and wild scenario as we book Team Blue and Gold in current day Stardom. And then next week on the alternate commentary, we will be doing the match for the Goddess of Stardom Tag Team Champions as one Soriano and Natsupoi, who we're going to bring up a lot on this show. They defend against Crazy Star, Mei Sarah, and Suzu Suzuki, and probably my top 2 or 3 favorite straight-up tag matches in the history of Stardom. So, as always, my friend, loads and loads of fantastic stuff over up on our Patreon are released and will be released in the upcoming days.
I've never once thought about Stardom as Metallica albums, but that might be the perfect comparison as Joshi to Master of Puppets as an album. It's perfect. It's the quintessential essence of Joshi wrestling. I love it. Well done, Mr. Header. Well done. Just want to have a huge shout out to Mark Candlish, our newest Patreon member. He's joined the Red Belt tier at $5. Thank you, Mark. We massively appreciate it. And a special shout out to Steve Kaklamanos, who, of course, offered the suggestion of Andy and Matt being booked in current day Stardom, which I still would love to see. And the fact, Matt, that I have been robbed, I tell you, of the chance of managing you in Philadelphia during WrestleMania week is something that is going to wrangle me for many, many years to come.
Well, it's weird because technically on that Thursday, I'm going to be managing your beer intake at the live Stardom Cast podcast.
Yes.
7 p.m. at Jack's Bar and Grill, a 5-minute walk away from the ECW arena. Come on, my man.
Absolutely. It's completely free to come and attend. Basically, consider it your Stardom in Philadelphia after party. We'll be recording our show review there live with Sean, our editor-in-chief, comparing the event as well. We'll also have a little bit of a Q&A as well, and just generally just mill around and talk to you all. Can't wait to see as many of you as humanly possible there, and I will do my best to remember it due to the significant amount of Stardom Cast beer that I will probably be consuming on that day and over the entire week, Matt. So yes, you are going to have to look after me, and Kirsty is very adamant that you have to look after me as well, because she wants me back in something resembling One Piece, I think.
Just
Right.
let her know when we're done recording that my dad gene will 100% kick in. So don't you worry about anything. Don't you worry about anything. Uncle MT is here.
And ladies and gentlemen, if you see me just, passed out on the street, just give me a gentle shake to make sure I'm still with it. That's all I ask.
Or call me. Send me a DM.
Oh, yeah. Just text Max. He's probably looking for me. Right. So let's kick into the news. I'm going to get the one negative out of the way before we kick into the whole host of positives. Unfortunately, Lady C is out of action until the start of the Cinderella tournament. She suffered a laceration on the February 25th show in Toshigi. Hopefully, it's nothing too serious. And as I've already said, she will be back in action for the opening night of the Cinderella tournament, but obviously we wish her nothing but the best. And speaking of the Cinderella tournament, Matt, we have our brackets, we have our first round matches, and they are as follows. So, Cinderella round 1, Hanan versus Hanako, Yuzuki versus Starlight Kid, Momokogo versus Xena, Koguma versus Ruaka, Saida versus Saki Kashima, Yuna Mizumori versus Lady C, Sayaka Kurora versus Natsuko Tora, and Miyu Amasaki versus Rana Yagami. The temptation, of course, is to pick all our winners for that, but we will be doing our bracketology episode next week and dropping it before this first round, which will be on the 9th of March. It is going to be a pay-per-view, Yokohama Budokan. It promises to be a fantastic card, and I'm going to get into the rest of the matchups in a moment. But Matt, obviously, those are your Cinderella first round matches. We'll talk about the second round shortly. But what matches immediately jump out at you there?
Yuzuki Starlight Kid is probably the one I'm looking forward to the most. Momokogo, and if you look at them, some of them, and now obviously we have upsets, but majority of these, I think we might do okay on predictions. The one that might be the hardest to predict is a returning Momokogo, because he's come back with a lot of fanfare against someone that just returned about a month ago in Xena, considering the fact that Xena, I think in a return match, pinned our beloved Hazuki. So that is one I'm not sure who's going to win that one. But as far as if I can only watch one match from this first round, to me it would be Yuna versus Lady C. I champion the two of them so much just because of the improvement. And that's going to be chop, lariat, chop, big boot, lariat, giant swing, chop, lariat for like 4 or 5 minutes. But those are the matches that all jump out to me. But it's nice that if you remember last year's opening night, you had like a lot of heavy hitters. You had like Tam versus Himika, you had Mayu versus Sai Kamatani, Uzumi versus Suzuki, etc. And of course, a lot of those matches were double count or double over the top rope, went 3 or 4 minutes. Where this one, it's a lot of the talent that the whole really field is a lot of talent that are basically mid carders. So you're going to see a lot of especially with the rest of the card, and you'll talk about in a minute, partner. You're going to have a lot of eyes on a lot of these mid carders and the rookies as well. So there's going to be a focus on pushing some of this talent to the top parts of the card. And any of these wrestlers can really steal the show or steal the first round of the Cinderella tournament. So I'm really excited to not only watch it next week, but also to kind of figure out what our predictions are going to be as we do our official bracketology next week.
Yeah, I must admit I'm excited for Yuzuki versus Starlight Kid. Yuzuki's one of those who definitely has improved in spades. She already started like a house on fire, and it's difficult to think that she's still technically in her first year as a wrestler. I'm very excited to look at Saida versus Saki Kashima. That could be really interesting. But I'm actually really looking forward to Hanan versus Hanako. I think that could be a really, really tasty matchup. And I don't know if this is just because Scotty Wrestling's got in my head, but Hanan has to be a shout for this tournament. She has to be a shout for this tournament. She's already made mention of how she's, the closest thing to the Cinderella. She did that closing speech in Toshigi. And then, of course, we had her sort of have a very, very, very brief stare-off with the white belt champion, Saori Anou. So maybe that's what they're teasing. Would I be disappointed if Hanan wins the tournament? Hell no, absolutely not. I think it would be fantastic. Would I be disappointed if it was Hanan over Hazuki? maybe a little bit, but I'd be fine with it if they played Hanon's old theme. That would make me.
I was going to go there.
I know you
feel
were.
a little bit better after Hanon pinned Suzuki? You would be like, "Oh, I thought it was Suzuki," and then all of a sudden, 3 seconds of dead air, and then dun 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 dun. Are you ready? Yeah, I could just see like Rob like crying into his pillow and then poking his head up like a dog that just heard a bell or something. Like, what's that? What's that? I am ready. H-A-N-A-M, Hanon, yay!
I am ready.
I've been ready for a year, damn you, Stardom.
Watch, it's the 1 year I'm not picking Azumi. I have been doing this podcast for 4 years, and for the last 3, I have picked Azumi, I think, to win the tournament. Or the last 2, sorry, I've picked Azumi to win the tournament. This is the first year I'm not picking Azumi, and I guarantee she wins it this year because I haven't picked her. Again, not going to be disappointed if that does happen, but there we are. So, just to recap then, that is the 9th, okay, at Yokohama Budokan. There are other matches as well, but I just want to focus at the moment on the Cinderella, because as you know, there are some that were given byes into the second round. They were Amisori, Suzu Suzuki, Mei Sakurai, Mei Seira, Mirai, Azumi Hazuki, and Waka Tsukiyama. They are actually in a 8-way. I think it's an 8-way match on that first night, but they are introduced into the tournament on the second day of this doubleheader. So March 9th is the first round. That will take place at Yokohama Budokan, presumably on pay-per-view. Not presumably, I think it is on pay-per-view. I think it's been confirmed. Day 2 is the following day, March 10th, and that is going to be at Korakuen Hall. So, just to recap those matches, Hanon and Hanako, the winner of that match, will take on Mirai. Now, if you think, even if it's Hanako versus Mirai, that's a tasty match, but Hanon versus Mirai is a potential second round match, yes, please. The second one, Suzu Suzuki versus the winner of Yuzuki and Starlight Kid. Now, again, I don't want a fancy book yet. We are going to be doing our bracketology, but Starlight Kid versus Suzu Suzuki, yes. All day, yes. The winner of Saya Ida and Saki Kashima will be taking on Mei Seira. Okay, so we could potentially have another rematch of that high-speed championship match. We've also got Amisori taking on the winner of Yuna Mizumori and Lady C. Later on in the bracket, and this is something that's very, very interesting, Hazuki will enter the tournament on day 3, and she will be taking on the winner of Koguma and Ruaka.
Ooh. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, Rob. I'm just kind of getting the wheels turning. I believe the semifinals of the 2022 Cinderella tournament was Koguma defeating Hazuki. So, because I remember it was Mirai that defeated Koguma in the finals of that tournament 2 years ago. Wow. Not unless Ruaka plays Bracket Buster, that could happen. That is very tasty, good sir.
I would be very, very, very surprised if Mirai doesn't make it through to the final 4 again. I'd be very surprised. I do just want to go over the fact that we have had more matches announced because apparently just having the bracket wasn't enough. So also what we have is the return, finally, of Natsupoi. The murder pixie is coming back to Stardom. She's returning on the 9th of March at the Yokohama Budokan. Is she returning in just a throwaway match? No, not at all. She is teaming with her tag partner Saori Anou versus, of all people, Sareee and Chihiro Hashimoto. Now, Natsupoi and Chihiro Hashimoto had a phenomenal singles match in Sendai Girls. If you haven't already seen it, go and watch it. It's 12 minutes of absolute carnage. It's wonderful. This match, Matt, of the entire tournament, this entire card of the opening night, should I say, this is the match I am most looking forward to. This is going to be brilliant.
I'm going to throw a loaded question at you, my friend, and you can literally just say TLD and tap out and we're done with it. But, like, what are you most excited for in this match? Natsupoi's return, the fact that she's teaming with Saori Anou, and obviously Saori Poi, they had a great run with the Goddess of Stardom tag belts, never lost them because of Natsupoi's injury. Are you most excited for that Sareee is finally finally coming to Stardom. Are you excited that Chihiro Hashimoto is making her first match back in Stardom since that brutal match he had last April with Shuri? Are you most excited that Sareee and Chihiro Hashimoto are tagging? Or are you most excited for the match? Like, what? Like, there's so many different like things to get excited for, and just that match. Like, what is the one thing you're most excited for?
Oh God, a little from column A, a little from column B, I think, my friend. I'm so excited to see Natsupoi back because I didn't realize just how much I missed Natsupoi until she wasn't on these cards. She brings such a completely different energy to everything. Obviously, she brings a completely different energy to Cosmic Angels, who will finally be back to full strength once Natsupoi returns. The fact that she had what was, a breakout tournament, and we're going to be talking about that, obviously, in one of our later retrospectives. The fact that we didn't really get to see anything after that because of this injury and because she's been out for so long, I think I'm just looking forward to seeing her in the ring again. The fact that we have her teaming against Sareee, who I'm just incredibly excited to see in a Stardom ring, throwing hands with Poi and, of course, with Sareee, but Chihiro Hashimoto has not missed in Stardom. Every match she has had, whether it's against Himeka, whether it's against Mariah, whether it's against Sareee, she did not miss at all in those 3 singles matches. So to have her, and again, if you have not seen that Sendai Girls match between Poi and Chihiro Hashimoto, go and check it out because it is absolutely tremendous. So that is coming up. Just quickly jumping back to the bracket, there are a couple of people left, of course. We've got that doubleheader on the 9th of the 3rd and the 10th of the 3rd. Most of those matches I've gone through. Mirai, of course, will take on the winner of Hanan and Hanako on the 10th of March. Suzu Suzuki will take on the winner of Yuzuki and Starlight Kid on the 10th of March. Meisera will take on the winner of Saki Kashima and Sairida on the 10th. And Amisori will take on the winner of Lady C and Yuna Mizumori. However, on the 16th of March, Mei Sakurai will take on the winner of Miyu Amasaki and Rani Yagami. I would argue that's probably the lock of the first round, followed closely by this one. On the 16th of March, Azumi will take on the winner of Natsuko Tora and Sayaka Kurora. I'd argue that those two are probably the locks of the tournament. And as I've already mentioned, Hazuki will be taking on the winner of Koguma and Ruaka. So that is your first and second round brackets. We have got a full card announced for that pay-per-view on the 9th of March, and it is a doozy, folks. So as well as all of the first round matches from the Cinderella tournament, as though the return of Natsupoi in that tag match with Sareee against Sareee and Chihiro Hashimoto wasn't big enough, as though a Future of Stardom Championship match we're just throwing on that card, Rina making her next title defense against Miran, who, if you remember, was the 14-year-old girl from Diana who impressed everyone. She is having an attempt at Rina's Future of Stardom belt. That's on this card. Listen to this for a multi-woman tag. Aphrodite versus EXV, Maika and Mina Shirakawa versus Mayu Iwatani and Tam Nakano. Just take a moment, Matt, to think about the star power in that match. But we're not done. We're not done. We have then got a 6-woman tag on top of that, which is acting as a New Japan Strong Women's Championship prelude match. Julia, Syuri, and Konami making her return versus the team of Momo Watanabe, Fukiken Death, and CMLL's Stephanie Vaca making her first appearance in Stardom since 2018, because on the 10th of March in Korakuen Hall, Julia will make her title defense of the Strong Women's Championship against the number 1 contender, Stephanie Vaca. This card is relatively stacked. Obviously, we've also got that 8-way match. I think it's 8. Am I miscounting? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Right. It is an 8-way. So, that card, as well as having the tournament on there, we've got a title match and 2 multi-woman matches that are going to be fantastic, just because Fukiken Death is in it. on that second night, then, we have got not the full card, but we have got, as I've already mentioned, 4 round 2 matches. Mirai versus the winner of Hanako and Hanako. Suzu Suzuki versus the winner of Yuzuki and Starlight Kid. Meisera versus the winner of Saida and Saki Kashima. And Misori versus the winner of Yuna Mizumori and Lady C. But on top of that, finally, for the first time since July, Aya Sakura will also be returning from injury, which, Matt, will mean that at that point, with Lady C being on that card, finally, Stardom have cleared the backlog of that absolutely horrendous spate of injuries that they had at the end of 2023. They will finally have a full-strength roster, which is exciting in itself. But these 2 cards, man, what are 2 cards?
Yeah, I made mention about a week or 2 ago that I really think that they need to do a Micah and Mina versus Mayu and Tam, just because Mina was the number 1 contender at the time for Mayu's IWGP Championship, and clearly they're building up to a Micah versus Tam red belt match, and Tam never lost the belt, so the story is easy there. So Stardom must have listened to this podcast and said, you know what, fine folks at Stardom Cast, I love that idea of Tam and Mayu versus Mina and Micah. But however, hold my beer. We're going to add another team. Not just another team, not just the goddess of Stardom tag team champions, but the best tag team in all of wrestling in one, Utami Hayashisa and Saya Kamatani. Like, really, Stardom. Like, what, Demolition wasn't available? Like, oh my goodness. Like, this is just unbelievable. Then you look at that 6-person tag match. Obviously, the main crux of that match is going to be Julia and Steph Vacker, as they're going to build up their match the very next night in Cork and Hall. But I mean, there's so many. You have, obviously the returning Konami. We're going to have more Momo versus Shuri violence. Fukin Death is always entertaining. I mean, I would think she would be the one eating the fall here, but at the same time, you might want to get Steph Vacker over. So maybe it's Konami. So I don't know which way they're going to go with that. But regardless, that's going to be a fantastic match. Moran versus Rina. Obviously, we'll talk about Rina towards the end of the show. She had another phenomenal Future of Stardom Championship match with Miyu Amasaki. So just a lot of loaded stuff here. Now, obviously, Rob, this card on 3/9 is a pay-per-view. It's Yokohama Budokan. It's a big, big show. What's the main event of this show? Just because I'm looking at the Cinderella tournament, and no disrespect to any of these matches, but I don't think any of the matches in the Cinderella is going to main event. To me, it's either going to be that 3-way 6-person or the 3-way tag match, or the returning Natsupoi match. What, in your opinion, do you think is going to main event this show on 3/9?
It's a very good question, actually. I was thinking about this earlier when I should have been doing my work.
Good man. Good man. Look at that, folks. Loyal to the podcast.
Priorities, man. Priorities.
That's what I was looking for.
No disrespect to Rina and Moran. I know it's a title match, but I don't see that main eventing. I doubt it's going to be the 8-way. I'd be very surprised if it's the 8-way. I think you're looking at either the multi-woman tag Aphrodite versus EXV versus Mayu and Tam, or you're looking at Saori Anou and Natsupoi. I would think that with it being Saree's first match in Stardom, with it being Natsupoi's return, she's been out since late September. So I think it'll probably be Saori Poi versus Sareee and Chihiro Hashimoto. If it's not that, I think it'll probably be the multi-woman tag. No disrespect to the Julia, Saori, and Konami match. I don't think they're going to have Fukin Death in the main event of the pay-per-view. No disrespect.
You of all people say, man.
Look, I mean, it's a double-edged sword for Fukin Death. Fine. Okay, they don't put her in the main event. But if this pay-per-view doesn't sell well, Matt, you know how to make more money. Put the clown in the main event. So I've seen, and I can't remember who it was. There's someone on our Patreon, and I know that there is also quite a few people on social media that have said about the Cinderella tournament this year lacking star power. And though I can see what they mean, obviously there's no champions, no Utami, no Saya, no Micah, no Mina, no Mayu, no Tam, no Julia, no Saori, no Momo. I understand that. However, if you are going to use the Cinderella tournament as this next step up to the main event. And we talked about this a little bit on last week's podcast. Don't forget, for lack of, in inverted commas, main event talent, you've still got Hazuki, Azumi, Mirai, and Starlight Kid in this tournament, as well as Suzu Suzuki, as well as Hanan. So there is still main event worthy talent in there. Yes, it might not have the name value on first viewing. However, I like the fact that this is being used to elevate people in the mid card. Okay, let's put the focus on those people. Okay, use the 5-star Grand Prix to get your main event talent over. Okay, think of this as your New Japan Cup. Okay, so think about when Zack Sabre Jr. won it in the first year. Okay, the first year that he won it, should I say? Okay, he was a mid-card talent, fantastic wrestler, but mid-card talent. He's elevated them by winning that tournament, goes on to have a fantastic match with Okada at Sakura Genesis. Okay, let's use this tournament to elevate your Hanans or your Hazukis or your Saeidas, okay, up to that white belt scene. That's what I want to see. If it's just another tournament for the main event, it doesn't really differentiate itself ultimately from the 5-star Grand Prix. Okay, let's make these two as separate to each other as humanly possible. And I like the way they're doing that. It makes these women step up. Okay, they have got no choice. They have got to step up. The focus is on them. They haven't got a Mayu or a Tam or a Syuri or a Julia to sort of lean on as name value. They have got to step up. And we know from, countless matches in the Stardom canon that all of these women can step up when given the nod. My only real surprise when it came to omissions was Mina Shirakawa. I'm surprised Mina isn't in that group, but does that bother me? No, not really, because now we're having a conversation where Hanan might win this tournament legitimately, and we're all like, yeah, that'd be fantastic. Hazuki might win this tournament. Azumi might win this tournament. Okay, Momo Kogo might go deep in this tournament. It might be Rani Yagami. It won't be. But, we are having those conversations, and it's a chance to shine a spotlight on other talent, and I think that is what the Cinderella tournament should be about. And I'm looking at the bracket now. Hazuki versus Hanan will have to happen before the final. They're in the same side of the bracket. So on the one side of the bracket, you have got Mirai, Hanan, Hanako, Starlight Kid, Yuzuki, Suzu Suzuki, Waka Tsukiyama, Xena, Momo Kogo, Koguma Ruwaka, and Hazuki. That is a stacked side of the bracket, because if you're talking about finalists, you're talking about favorites, Mirai has to be in the conversation, Hanan, Starlight Kid, Suzu Suzuki, and Hazuki. That's 5 people. Only one person can go out of that side of the bracket. Okay, that's going to lead to some really, really, really tasty matchups. Hanan and Hazuki won't meet each other until the semi-finals. Okay, so that is, if that happens, that won't happen until the 20th of March, which is the Cinderella final. On the other side of the bracket, you've got Mei Seira, Saki Kashima, Saida, Yuna Mizumori, Lady C, Amisori, Azumi, Sayaka Kurora, Natsukatora, Miyu Amasaki, Rani Yagami, and Mei Sakurai. Now, for me, that side of the bracket, if it's not Azumi, someone has got to step up. I mean, I'm overlooking Natsukatora, who is a Cinderella tournament finalist in her own right. But someone else is going to have to step up in that bracket, because whereas you've got the 5 favourites in one side, this side, you've got to say, aside from, Azumi, Amisori maybe, and Mei Seira, the chance is there for someone. The chance is there. I mean, we are looking at a potential Hazuki Azumi final, which is very, very exciting. But the fact that on that, as I'm looking at it, right-hand side of the bracket, that's very, very exciting, Matt.
Here's something too you have to think about. You think about this in a business aspect. We talk a lot about how special the talent Azumi is. Obviously, we'll probably get into it as we're building towards more and more news on this show. Is you're thinking about your final 4 is the last pay-per-view of the tournament. You have to sell pay-per-views. You have to sell tickets, YouTube subscriptions, Stardom World subscriptions, yada, yada, yada. on that bracket, Azumi's probably going to make the Final Four. And hopefully I don't jinx it because obviously we love Azumi. You pick Azumi every year. So Azumi is somebody you're going to want to push to get into that Final Four. Plus, Azumi's coming over to Chicago for the New Japan show, which I know we'll cover in a little bit. So you're going to want to have a nice spotlight on her, and then you're shooting her over not only to the States, Rob, not only for New Japan show, but I always talk about the 4 or 5 like really hardcore cities for professional wrestling, the quote unquote smart fans. I always say it's Philadelphia, it's Boston, it's New York, and it's Chicago. Those are like the 4 most rabid, hardcore fans. They really, really know their stuff. They appreciate great wrestling. Azumi and Mina are both going to get over like $1 million there. This is a great opportunity to spotlight Azumi and either have her in the semifinal, in the final, or maybe win the whole thing. And then you turn around in just a few weeks' time, you're going to have her on a big show in Chicago. So it's a really good chance that Azumi does make the Final Four. Or maybe, Rob, maybe even a broken clock's right twice a day. Maybe for the first time in 4 years, you got the right pick, and it is Azumi. Not that I want to sway your pick, folks, but our Rob's pick. Obviously, we will be doing our full bracketology next week, where it will not only be myself and Rob doing our picks, but our significant others will do their picks as well. And as usual, they'll probably wipe the floor with us.
Absolutely. I'm still looking at this bracket, and genuinely, I've got sort of a Final Four in my head, because you look at that right-hand side of the bracket, Azumi, if she wants to make it through to the semi-final, she's got to go through either Sayaka Kurora, Natsuko Tora, Miyu Amasaki, Ron Yagami, and Mei Sakurai. If you are looking at a potential semi-final, that's the side of the bracket you want. Because if you go past Natsuko Tora, really, there's no stopping you getting through to the semi-final. And then who could you potentially have? I mean, Mei Seira versus Azumi as a semi-final. Saya Ida versus Azumi. Very, very tasty. And obviously, we'll know a little bit more. Next week, we will give both our bracketology and our full preview of that first night, 9th of March, which is a week on Saturday as we record the 9th of March, Yokohama Budokan. It's definitely a pay-per-view that is worth your time, not only for the first round of the Cinderella tournament, but also the return of Natsupoi and 2 rather star-studded multi-women matches as well.
Rob, quick question. Do you think that show on the 10th is going to be a live YouTube stream or pay-per-view at a discounted price like they did prior? Because I think they might be able to capitalize on all of this really positive press that they're getting after they're announcing this Cinderella tournament. I kind of just want to get your idea. You have, obviously Julia probably going to be in the main event. You have round 2 of this tournament, the Cinderella tournament. You think it would be wise for them to make this a 2-night pay-per-view with the second night being a discounted price?
They've done it before. I like the fact that they're loading a Korakuen again. That's something that I was big into at the end of 2023 and something that I wanted to happen when it came to 2024 was to put more of a spotlight on Korakuen. So yes, absolutely. We saw with the Toshigi show that they are looking at more live streaming. They did put the Toshigi show very briefly on YouTube, live streamed it to YouTube from one camera, which was quite far away. So if you watched it with that camera, then fair play to you, because it was very difficult. To watch using that, but it wouldn't surprise me. I mean, maybe it's a YouTube live stream, maybe, but no. I think if you're gonna do it, it'll be a pay-per-view. I would have thought. Because they won't want people waiting long for that show to go up on Stardom World either, I wouldn't have thought. So we'll see. You mentioned it, Matt, of course, Azumi being, they might want to spotlight Azumi, and that's because on April 12th at the Wintrust Arena in Chicago, we have some Stardom representation at Windy City Riot. And that Stardom representation is in the form of Azumi and Mina Shirakawa. So they will be on the Windy City Riot card Friday, April 12th in Chicago. Very, very exciting, Matt. But that was made even more exciting by what looks like some money on the card.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Now, before I get into my point, I'm gonna go all over here, but I'll cover all the bases. We love Rossio Gao on this show, folks. I mean, he's one of the greatest bookers ever in wrestling, regardless of Japan, female, male. You got to give the guy his due. You got to give the Hat Man his due. He's one of the best to ever do it, and he's going to continue to do it. And his new promotion, I know, is going to be a smash. But let's call it like we see it, brother. The last 3 or 4 days, the new brass at Stardom, holy geez, they're off to a heck of a start. Again, between what they're giving us on these two Cinderella cards on the 9th or the 10th, the fact that we have Azumi and Mina Shirakawa both coming to Chicago, Illinois, just as the snow is starting to melt over there in the Windy City. But the fact that Mercedes Moné is back to her old tricks again, and I absolutely love it. It was only mere minutes after New Japan announced that both Mina and Azumi would both be on this card that Mercedes Moné did her old Twitter tricks and kind of poked the bear a little bit with Mina and then poked the bear a little bit with Azumi. And then Azumi properly responded back by saying something along the lines of, I guess you know how to say my name now. Mercedes Moné, I'm not sure if you saw, she's actually currently in Japan being I think she's presenting an award for like Anime Con or something like that. And anime, my daughter would kill me, Anime Con. And her and Mina Shirakawa met up, took some photos, which really got one AEW star, Mariah May, a little bit jealous. So, yeah, I really think obviously it's no secret that Mercedes Moné will be debuting in AEW soon on that Boston show. I mean, it's probably the worst kept secret since the CM Punk return a few years ago, and rightfully so because they sold a whole bunch of tickets. But the way that I think that it's going to go, and from some of the people that I know over in AEW and again, I'm not 100% sure, the way that we think it's going to go is that Mercedes is going to kind of be on the Bryan Danielson AEW deal, where it's like, yes, her main thing will be AEW, but she's still going to work some New Japan / Stardom dates. So, very interesting things considering the fact that 2 or 3 weeks ago, everybody on social media, the sky was falling. Stardom is going out of business because, Rob, I don't know if you know this, sometimes wrestling fans can go a little bit overboard on social media when it comes to wrestling. But man, this is exciting news all around. And the fact that we may be getting somewhere down the line a Mina versus Mercedes match and a one-on-one Azumi versus Mercedes match. It's going to be really, really interesting. And I'm super excited to see Mina and Azumi in front of a hot Chicago crowd, because I always say that I think Azumi is somebody that's completely different than any other wrestler on the planet. I mean, she really is a special talent, and I think people's minds will explode when they see Azumi and Mina. I hope they get like singles matches and they just don't put them in a tag, so this way we get to see 2 different Stardom matches on the show instead of one. I know Steph Vacker, correct me if I'm wrong, partner, I believe she's announced for that show, so maybe we get an Azumi for Steph Vacker match. That would be something.
Yes, she is announced for that card. You're absolutely right. And Matt, I don't know how you dare call wrestling fans reactionary. That's not true in the slightest.
Not me and you, buddy. Not me and you. You know why? Because we graduated high school a long time ago.
Yeah, so it could well be some sort of tag. It could well be Mercedes Moné versus AZM, as she keeps calling Azumi. In singles action, maybe the singles match we didn't get because we had that fantastic 3-way at Sakura Genesis last year. Who knows? But very, very exciting to see even more Stardom representation on New Japan cards, which when you think that we've already had Starlight and Ruaka appear on the CMLL tour, we've just had Mina Shirakawa versus Mayu for the IWGP Women's title on the New Beginning and Sapporo show, and now we have got Azumi and Mina appearing on the Windy City Riot card. And let's not forget the announcement of Historic Crossover 2024. That is happening this year. It's nice to see Stardom getting this cross promotion that I thought we would have gotten more of when Bushi Road purchased Stardom back in 2019. So it's nice to see this because we've seen from Julia appearing in TNA. We've seen from Mayu appearing on New Japan Strong cards. We've seen the reaction that Stardom wrestlers get. People know who they are. People pop for them. They get great reactions. So it's great to see the likes of Azumi coming over and Mina coming over and being able to get that reaction. Because, you know, Mina's been over before. She was over for Rumble on 44th Street. I don't think Azumi has been to the US since the New York show,
right? Yeah, I think you're right. And people said they're going to explode when they see her. I think you're right because she didn't. If I'm thinking about all these U.S. shows, it's been Julia, Mayu, a lot of Julia and Mayu, obviously because of the IWGP champions. Mina, Waka. I think that's it, buddy. I think that's it.
Momokogo.
Oh, duh. Yeah, of course. That's why they pay you the big bucks. not just a pretty face, folks.
Yeah, not a pretty face, just full stop. Just having a look now, because I'm intrigued now.
Why did you play yourself down? I literally put you over. It was like we hit the tag finisher, and I'm like, Rob, you get the pin. No, you did not get the pin. You laid down and put the opponent that we knocked out on top of you for the 3 count.
No, Azumi wasn't on that card.
The New York one?
Azumi wasn't on that card.
She's never wrestled in the States before. I don't think so.
Yeah, because Stardom have never wrestled. Obviously, the Philly show will be their first US show since then. So, and I don't think Azumi's done a spot in, like, an independent spot in the same way Utami did. So, yeah, this will be her first time in the US. Well, unless, of course, she's on the, what's it show? She's on the... Philly Mania show. This does sort of lend itself, of course, you know, if we're talking back to the... to Rossi's promotion, the split that is incoming at the end of March, which we're rapidly approaching because when the vast majority of you are listening to this, it will already be March, which is quite scary when you think about how quickly this year is going. I think this does indicate that both Mina and Azumi are going to be staying with Stardom. As, you know, we've sort of been led to believe that Stardom contracts are out at the end of March. This show is April 12th. I don't think they'd be advertising talent that they weren't absolutely 100% sure was still going to be with the company, especially in the wake of the split that's going to happen. So it looks, and again, we have nothing confirmed, it looks like Azumi and Mina, alongside Tam, are going to be staying with Stardom, Matt.
Yeah, I was literally the next thing I was going to say that they wouldn't be putting them on that card, you know, they flying them over, putting them on a card if they were leaving. So yeah, it looks like Mina, Azumi, again, purely speculation. I speculated this last week. Saya Kamatani probably staying because of the new merch. It actually just dropped, I think either last night or this morning. It's not new merch from Stardom. It's new merch from one of the big companies that advertises with Stardom. You can see it all over the apron. I think it's called like HTTP 0. And not only is it Sai Kamatani merch, it's Utami merch. It's both them single. And of course, Rob, as soon as somebody sent me the link, you know I bought myself a new Saya Kamatani and a new Utami High sister, sir. Yeah, so I was like, absolutely, I got to buy them. But then I was kind of thinking, because I wasn't really sure. I figured Saya would have stayed. And again, this is purely speculation because they really seem like they're going to earmark a Micah versus Saya Kamatani or another match for the red belt somewhere down the line. I really think they want Saya to be their ace for the new Bushi Road produced Stardom, which is not a bad thing. But now it's a great thing, actually. And then obviously Azumi looks like she's staying. Mina's staying. It looks like Hazuki's probably going to stay because Hazuki was very adamant that she wanted to wrestle in the States, especially on this show coming up in Philly. So my guess is that Hazuki's staying. That probably leads where, you know, what Utami's going to do. Again, if they're building new merch for Saya and Utami, and again, this is what I made mention last week, and you made mention, well, maybe it's just merchandise for a month, and then once it sells, and then they're gone, or they're still selling while they're there. Now, completely, and I didn't know this until this morning or last night, or no, it couldn't have been last night because I lost power. When I read it this morning, that it's not Stardom produced merchandise, it's one of their sponsors. And I'm sure one of the sponsors, if they're selling these shirts at $42 before shipping, by the way, so if they're selling these shirts and these hoodies, I don't think they'd be none too thrilled if, oh, by the way, this person is out in 2 or 3 weeks. So it is a good possibility that one of my wishes for Utami, Saya, and Azumi to stay in the same company that may happen. Again, it's speculation. We don't know. Obviously, we know that Julia I'm sure you'll get into that. She's more than gone. Yeah, she's more than gone. She's really playing into her character, I guess, of being the biggest tweener in the history of Stardom.
Love it.
But it looks like there's more and more unfolding of who's staying, who's going. And as that you mentioned a minute ago, partner, and the majority of our listeners that are listening to this, it is going to be March. So we are literally a month away of truly finding out what the rosters are going to look like. But I think as each and every day passes, we're going to kind of see who's going and who's staying.
Yeah, I think we are certainly going to be getting that sooner rather than later. I do want to talk about Julia because Jesus Christ, that woman has no chill whatsoever. She did an interview with Tokyo Sports basically where she was asked about whether she was leaving Stardom, and basically her response was an emphatic no comment. But only after she stated free as a bird. So, she's also said she's got the strong belt right now, so she wants to go all over the world with this belt. So she said no comment, then said I'm as free as a bird, which really did make me laugh because it did sort of come out as just a proper sardonic comment. And then, of course, she did reference the fact that she's still the strong women's champion. I do think that she will drop that to Stephanie Vaca, simply because Stephanie Vaca is very, very highly thought of in New Japan, very, very clearly. And, she's already been advertised on that Windy City Riot show. So it wouldn't surprise me if, like you said, Matt, Stephanie Vaca's defending that belt against maybe an Azumi or maybe against a Mina. It wouldn't surprise me. But yes, that comment from Julia, as we sort of pretty much confirmed last week, Julia is almost 100% certainly the first one to leave, to go to Rossi's new promotion, Matt.
Yeah, again, we only have a month left of these Julia matches. We've seen her obviously in multi-person tag matches, but they did, and we'll get into it when we get into the reviews of the show. They did have a nice little segment with Utami and Julia, and I think that if we can get one last big Julia match, I think that's the one that everyone wants to go to. I really think that she does need to put Micah over for the red belt somewhere along the way. And again, we do have 2 nights of the Cinderella tour, the final 2 nights, I believe, are back-to-back. Maybe they do those as back-to-back pay-per-views, or they do one as a live stream. But, obviously she was very hot coming into the company back in 2020. When she's leaving the company, it is a time-honored tradition that you go and you put other people over. I think it would be good for business for everybody that on those last 2 nights she puts Micah over and she puts Utami over. If Utami's staying, I'm assuming that Micah is staying. I mean, she is holding the richest prize in all of wrestling. So I think that'd be the best way to go about doing business. And those are 2 matches that would draw a lot of money for Stardom, and that would really help, Bushi Road as she's leaving. But you got to give Julia credit, man. You really got to give her for a lot of things. But the fact that she is who she is, she doesn't deter from that. She doesn't, shy away from that. Like, this is my opinion. I didn't like the way the company was ran. I didn't like what happened in that Moneyball match that happened in November. I spoke my mind, and she didn't speak her mind just to speak her mind. She spoke her mind, and she is speaking her mind with really good, valid points. So, and again, we said this before, and pardon me, I'll mention it again. She can go to the WWE, like as soon as her contract's up, there's high interest there, and make a ton of money. But more than likely, it looks like she's going to be staying around for a few months to help Rossi launch his new promotion. And the loyalty that she has to Rossi, you just have to commend that. So, interesting times indeed, sir. Interesting times indeed. But Julia, she's the best.
She really is. She really is. Final bit of news. It does seem like we've been talking about the news for a long time. Final bit about the Rossi Ogawa situation. ERD Wrestling on Twitter posted that I got the chance to ask the legendary Ayako Hamada if she knows something about Stardom founder Rossi Ogawa's new promotion, and she confirmed that in her last trip to Japan for the RCN graduation day, she had talks with Ogawa, and there's a good chance that she will be working alongside Ogawa in the build-up of it. So it's interesting to see who and what names are involved as we build steam ahead of Rossi's promotion and whenever this will get announced. And I'm interested now to see who else is linked to Rossi going forward, Matt.
Yeah, I mean, he's calling on some of his friends, and it's proven to be a really good team and a really good track record. So, yeah, like we said, this is interesting times, and we're going to see more and more unfold. Really seems like this podcast is going to be just a fun way to kind of see what the landscape of Joshi is going to be as we get into the spring and the summer months of 2024.
Yeah, absolutely. And for those who are not familiar with Ayako Hamada, she's been in everything from Gay Japan to TNA, which I didn't realize. She's a 2 times TNA Women's Knockout Tag Team Champion. Is this the person who is Allison Danger's favorite person in the whole wide world?
I was getting ready to say, you mentioned her name, and I'm like, I think that's it. Then you mentioned it again. That was literally, my man, I'm telling you, you're really picking my brain again, half a world away. I'm almost positive once we close out this podcast, I will message Allison and maybe we'll get a little if that is it, and she created a good relationship with her. Maybe we'll get a little inside information from one of our favorite people on this that guests this podcast, and one Allison Danger. But I'm 99% sure that Allison's all-time favorite female wrestler is Hamada. So that's very interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah, Hamada's been literally everywhere. Gay, Japan, All Japan Women's, like I said, TNA, Sendai Girls, Shimmer. It's going to be her, isn't it? Because I've just seen that she was a Shimmer Tag Team Champion in 2011 and 2012.
I'm messaging Allison right now. I can't wait.
She's won literally everything in ASEAN as well. So really highly decorated wrestler and a big name in the Joshi scene.
Rob, how do you spell that? H-A... It's right there in front of you.
Hamada.
Okay.
Lots of A's in there.
Nice, buddy. An A plus for you, buddy. How about that?
Oh, thank you, man. So let's talk then about some results. So before we get into the Stardom results, let's talk about the IWGP Women's Championship, which was defended on the 23rd of February in the Hokkaido Prefectural Sports Center in Hokkaido. On that New Beginning in Sapporo Night 1 show. Match 5, Mayu Iwatani defeating the challenger Mina Shirakawa to make her 4th defense of the IWGP Women's Championship in 12 minutes and 28 seconds, pinning Mina with the 2-step dragon suplex. Matt, it's not hyperbole and it is not exaggeration to say that this was quite considerably and easily the best match on what was quite a controversial card.
I didn't watch the whole card. It's funny. Back before I joined this podcast, myself and Andy Hedder had a podcast. We talk about comics and New Japan Pro Wrestling, and I'm kind of glad that I don't have to go back and watch these full shows like I do with these Stardom shows, which I love doing because, boy howdy, some of this House of Torture stuff is bad. But I woke up the morning of the 23rd and kind of figured Mayu was going to win, and I was just scrolling through Twitter, and everybody said it was a great match, best match of the show, but they just wish it got more time. So I was worried it was only going to go 8 or 9 minutes. So I was surprised it got a little bit over 12. Obviously, I wish it got that 15, 16, 17-minute mark. The way that Mina builds up her offense, with the leg, and then once the leg doesn't work, she goes to the striking, and then she goes back to the leg. And then you mix that in with Mayu selling, and then Mayu turning into zombie Mayu in these big championship matches. I wish it got more time to tell the story. Maybe we see this, and I mentioned this last week, maybe we see this run back 17, 18 minutes on one of these Stardom Cinderella shows back for the championship on a Stardom show proper. But regardless, this was still great. Again, they were given 12 minutes. You can tell Mina's entrance, like she's got like one of the most charismatic entrances, not only in Stardom, but all of wrestling. Like she knows who she is. She knows who Mina Shirakawa, the character, is, and she's fantastic. But it seemed like halfway through her entrance, or when she got in the ring, she was a little bit nervous because she was looking out in the crowd and she looked like she was breathing a little bit heavier. And I'm like, oh, I've been there before. I hope she doesn't get what we call adrenaline dump. But I think once the bell got going, she got really into the aspect of who she is as a wrestler, because they started out fast. And we usually don't see Mina Shirakawa working that fast. Like obviously Mayu is a very fast wrestler, a very fast-paced wrestler, former high-speed champion. she was able to keep up with Mayu. And then once she was able to get that target, bam, she hits the little drop kick. And she starts building towards the work on Mayu's knee. And again, Mayu, phenomenal seller, phenomenal job, just building sympathy, bringing it back up, using her strikes to get the advantage back. I thought there was some really good stuff there. I liked how when Mina went for the electric chair dragon screw, which still just, I don't know how she does it the way she does without blowing out her opponent's knee or blowing out her elbow on the way down from the bump from protecting her opponent's knee. But she goes for it, and then Mayu just properly spikes it with the reverse Rana. I was like, how did I not see that coming? You know what I mean? You have like Mina going for that big move. Mayu's a great counter wrestler, especially building towards the end of the finish. I thought that was great. I liked how Mina did the roaring elbow and then just did a complete 180, and then was able to hit the spinning back fist. I thought that was great. Tombstone stuff I thought was really good, the way that Mayu built to it. I liked how I thought this match, again, from what people were telling me the morning of this match, it didn't go as long as they wanted to. So a lot of the falsies I really, really bid on, just because I thought, this is going to be the finish. And they did a great job giving them championship match false finishes where it just built. I thought that was great. And then eventually Mayu was able to finally, and they did a great job. Mina did a great job countering the two-step dragon suplex. I thought eventually they built to where Mayu finally has Mina worn down enough where she can hit the two-step dragon suplex. I thought Mina had a little majority of the match. I thought maybe Mina controlled 55% of the match to Mayu's 45%, which again just makes Mayu look better at the end when she's able to retaliate and able to eat all the offense from Mina Shirakawa to get the finish in. Great match. I gave it 4.25 stars. And again, we are 2 months into this year, and I don't know any wrestler that is having even close to the year of one Mayu Iwatani. Again, just another resume builder on what is one of the greatest wrestlers of this or any other generation. And again, I know I talked to you texting back and forth, and you told me, you said, Matt, don't even bother watching the rest of the show. Nothing touched this, which it's very alarming. A lot of people are thinking that it probably, and again, it's preference. Maybe you do like some of the House of Torture stuff, and that's fine. You know, one of the many great things about pro wrestling is subjective. You can like what you like. But if the people in New Japan are watching this show from start to finish, as well as they should if they're the booker or promoters, and then when the show's over, on their drive home or to the hotels or to dinner or whatever, they got to be thinking the best match on this show wasn't a match that involved New Japan wrestlers. It involved Stardom wrestlers. And maybe now that's why we're going to see them on more New Japan shows, which is just great for Stardom because they're going to get more exposure. And you know they're going to be over, Rob. You know they're going to be over.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Bit of a problematic card. The crowd was really quiet for this as well. They were quiet for a considerable portion of this show, full stop. But I thought the Mayu and Mina did a fantastic job of wakening the crowd to the point that by the end they were invested in the match, and that's credit to the work that both Mayu and Mina did. It was a match that we know both women can do very, very well. Mina attacking the knee and Mayu playing the babyface in peril, being resilient, hitting each other very, very hard. You're trying to tell that story of Mina growing as a competitor after Mayu completely buried her in that interview. Which was just quintessential Mayu. But Matt, I'm afraid I have to call into question your journalistic approach when you analysed this match and did not mention once Mayu Iwatani's new fantastic championship gear.
Both of them. New gear. They both looked fantastic. Mayu obviously looked great. I watched this match actually with my wife, and she was just like, I've seen Mayu have better gear. And then top of my head, Mayu's best gear. Before I can even say it, she goes, I like the gear that Mayu had when she wrestled Kairi in that red gear. I go, oh my God, that's her championship gear when she had that phenomenal run with the World of Stardom Championship. But yeah, she did make mention to that. Did make mention she did like Mina's gear, but didn't care for her hair extensions, which I completely no-sold. I said, what are you talking about? That's clearly her real hair. And about 4 minutes in the match, Mina eats a super kick and part of her hair goes flying. And of course, Rob, I got a kayfabe it, right? Again, my wife sees through all my BS. And I go, Mayu hit her so hard it knocked part of her hair out. She's like, just stop. Please just stop.
Yeah, there is actually a really wonderful photo, and I don't think Mina would appreciate the photo, to be perfectly honest. But there's one where Mina is facing the camera and Mayu is delivering a buzzsaw kick to the back of her head, and the face that Mina is pulling as the impact is happening is not a very Mina-like face. Let's just put it that way. I'll have to send you the photo, Matt, because it did really, really make me laugh. Yeah, in terms of this match, I gave it 4.25 as well. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Like I said, they warmed the crowd up spectacularly well. A really quiet crowd. I really like Mayu's gear simply because it matched the snow outside in Sapporo, and in my head, that was why she did it. Of course, it's probably not, but I like that. Just in case you were curious about some more of the results on this card, El Desperado dropped the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship to Show via countout. Evil defeated Shota Umino for the Never Openweight Championship. So excellent job pushing those new Musketeers, New Japan. Hiroshi Tanahashi lost the New Japan World TV Championship to Matt Riddle, which I know went down like a lead balloon on social media. And Nick Nemeth, the old Dolph Ziggler, defeated David Finlay to become the IWGP Global Champion. So I know that those last 4 matches in particular came under significant scrutiny. But it was nice to see that really, really good, compact championship match between Mayu and Mina, because genuinely I think they did a tremendous job. As I've said, it's a match that they work very, very well, and it's a style that I feel like Mina's perfected, certainly. And again, like Chris Charlton and Walker did a fantastic job of commentating and bringing in that history and putting over the figure 4 driver Mina. Yeah, all in all, a really, really good match on a tepid card, let's say. I think that's the best way to put it. Before anything else, Matt, we best talk about these 3 shows. So we're going all the way back to the 18th of February. We have got Stardom in Shibuya, Stardom in Gunma from the 24th, and then Stardom in Utsonomiya in 25th of February as well to talk about. But we'll start on the 18th. Stardom in Shibuya, in the Bell Cell Shibuya First Tokyo, in front of a full house, reportedly, of 356 people. The results are as follows. A tag team match opened proceedings. The Uedatai team of Rina and Ruaka defeated the EXV team of Waka Tsukiyama and Hanako with the jackknife pin in 8 minutes and 42 seconds. Rina pinning Hanako, like I say. 3-way match. Mei Seira defeated Mei Sakurai and Hanan with the Meteor Dragon. Mei Seira pinning Mei Sakurai in 6 minutes and 49 seconds. 6-woman tag team action. The Uedatai team of Nats, Katora, Momo Watanabe, and Starlight Kid defeated the Cosmic Angels team of Tam Nakano, Yuna Mizumori, and Sayaka Kurora when Starlight Kid submitted Kurora with the Black Tiger leg killer in 12 minutes and 11 seconds with a finish that Matt found very, very entertaining. A tag team match followed with Julia and Suzu Suzuki defeated the reunited Fukuoka Double Crazy with Suzu Suzuki pinning Koguma with the German suplex in 9 minutes and 43 seconds. In a 10-woman tag match, the Queen's Quest team of Utami Hayashishita, Sayaka Matani, Azumi, Miyu Amasaki, and Lady C defeated the God's Eye team of Shiori Mirai, Amisori, Saki Kashima, and Rani Yagami. Miyu Amasaki pinning Rani Yagami with the Tenzai in 13 minutes and 11 seconds. And then in your main event, don't forget this was prior to the IWGP Women's Championship match we've just talked about, a 6-woman tag match. The EXV team of Maika, Mina Shirakawa, and Xena defeated the Stars team of Mayu Iwatani, Saya Ida, and Yuzuki. Mina submitting Yuzuki with the figure 4 leg lock in 14 minutes and 7 seconds. Matt Turner, what do we need to be checking out from the Shibuya show?
Match number 3. I'll obviously get into the finish because I think I text you right away and I said, wait till you see this finish. It's not a 450 through a flaming table, but it's just genius old school wrestling that makes sense. Again, you got Tam, Yuna, and Sayaka Kurora versus Starlight Kid, Natsuko Tora, and Momo Watanabe. And again, you can kind of see how this match is going to go. We had a really good start with some really good stuff, especially with Tam and Momo. We really haven't seen a Tam and Momo match like a proper match since I think their Wonder of Stardom Championship match back in I think 2018 or 2019, and they did a really good job building the two of them up. Where I thought, man, I would love to see Tam and Momo like a 13, 14-minute match, maybe in like a Korakuen Hall, especially now with, Momo being the full-fledged heel and Tam returning to the company because she's completely, revigorated and kicking ass. So I thought that was a really good part of the match. But you see it's going to come down to Starlight Kid and Sayaka Kurora. And God bless Sayaka Kurora. We know how this is going to go. Starlight Kid is working the knee. So you figured, okay, the finish, it's not going to be the Black Tiger pile driver. It's probably not even going to be the Star Suplex, the Tiger Suplex. It's going to be the Black Tiger leg crusher submission. So not only does she work it well, and Sayaka Kurora selling for someone who's only been wrestling a handful of months is really, really good. But she goes to reach for the rope, and Momo Watanabe, being the jerk heel, does something that's bending the rules but not breaking them. She goes to reach for the ropes, and Momo, using her best weapon, which is that kick, punk kicks Sayaka Kurora's hand away from the ropes, allowing Starlight Kid to wrench in the leg crusher submission even more to force the tap out. That is something that's like 1960s, 1970s, like heel work. I literally have a note written down that was very like Anderson-like. Gene, Ole, Arn. We talked about obviously the passing of Ole Anderson at the beginning of the show. This is something that one of the Andersons would have done back in the day for a finish. And it's something that I don't remember seeing in quite some time. And I just thought it was just genius. It was like, I'm going to help my tag partner out. It makes sense that if they're going to reach for something that's going to break the hold, I may as well kick it away. Again, say me and Rob, we get into a giant bar fight down in Philadelphia, and I'm putting a chokehold on somebody, and somebody goes to grab a beer bottle, smash it across my head. I hope Rob would have taken the time to kick that person's hand away so they couldn't grab said weapon and I can finish my submission. Again, I see how I relate it to real life and our Stardom Cast live podcast. I thought that was an absolute genius finish to what was a really good match. I had it at 3 3/4 stars. So I built this up to you. I built this finish up to you in text messages last week. What did you think of the finish, my friend?
I loved it. Like you say, it's old school wrestling. It worked really, really well, just bullying Oedetai, picking on the young Sayaka Kurora. And of course, you're going to want to help out your tag partner, as you mentioned. I gave it 3.5. Really good fun. And again, I know the focus is rightly going to be on Starlight Kid and, the members of Oedetai, but I thought Sayaka Kurora did fantastically well. And I know we're starting to sound like a bit of a broken record, and I know that the whole point of having reps in the ring is to become significantly better, but I thought she did a tremendous job in this match. And again, I think she's on the way to becoming a very, very good in-ring competitor. What did you think about the return of Fukuoka Double Crazy, Matt?
I thought it was great. However, I was a little shocked at the finish. I thought this would go to the old TLD, and I was shocked. Not only did it not go to the TLD, not only did FWC lose on their return, since Julia is the only one that we know of the four that's where she's going, the fact that she's out, but it was a returning Kagama that ate the pinfall. And I was glad that it was Suzu that got the win, so we're starting to heat Suzu back up a little bit since after losing that match at Dream Queendom against Micah. But I thought this was the best match of the show. It was great to see them back. You can just see how happy both Kagama and Hazuki are to be back. And, Hazuki's made it very well known that she wants to not only win the Cinderella tournament, not only does she want to win the Wonder of Stardom Championship, book it in Philadelphia, Stardom, do it. But she also would like for her and Kagama to once again reign as the Goddess of Stardom Tag Team Champions sometime this year, which, correct me if I'm wrong, Rob, which would make them the only 3-time Goddess of Stardom Tag Team Champions.
Yep, currently they are one of only 2 teams to hold the Goddess of Stardom tag belts twice, the other, of course, being our current champions, Aphrodite. Really good match, again, you can only do so much in 9 minutes, but I thought all 4 women did tremendously well. Suzu Suzuki and Hazuki proved in the 5-star what they can do together. I thought Koguma did well, melding that sort of comedy aspect from the beginning into the hard hitting that we know that she can do, or the more confrontational parts that she can do. That elevated code breaker looked like it sucks for everyone. So you have got Koguma, who is hoisting, sort of grabbing Suzu Suzuki around the knees and lifting her up. And then you've got Hazuki hitting a top rope code breaker to Suzu Suzuki, but the way that everyone landed, the move looked great, looked fine, but it just looked like the way everyone landed, it just looked like it sucked for absolutely everyone. But yeah, really enjoyed the match. 3.5 stars. Really, really good fun. And again, it's really nice to see Fukuoka Double Crazy again. And hopefully sooner rather than later, we will see Fukuoka Double Crazy against Aphrodite for those Goddess of Stardom tag belts. Matt, what else should we be looking at on this card then?
Real quickly, I like that tag match a little bit better than you. I actually gave it the 4 stars, which once anything hits 4 stars on these quote-unquote house shows, that is an absolute must-watch. But good point. The main event was good fun. You know, anytime you get Queen's Quest and God's Eye, doesn't matter which way, you know, who you have in, it's always going to be a hard-hitting match, especially when you have the upper tier of God's Eye, you know, meaning Mirai, Shuri, Ami Sourei, and of course with Azumi, Sai Kamatani, and Utami Hayashishita. But they did a great job highlighting Miyu Amasaki. It seems like these last few shows, they really just did a great job building her up to that Future of Stardom Championship match, again, which we'll get into. It's the last show we're going to review. So again, you know, Azumi, Lady C, Utami, Sai Kamatani were all great. They did a great job building up Miyu Amasaki and Rana Yugami as well. I like how with these rookies, they're giving them singles matches, you know, with the Suzu Suzuki, with Mina Shirakawa. They've been giving these rookies some opportunity in singles matches where it's basically like there's no tag partner for you to tag with or nobody else in the match to kind of help you out with anything in case you get lost or you get blown up. You're literally going to be sink or swim. And I think all these rookies, they're all swimming. They're all swimming fantastic. So Rana Yugami was maybe even been the MVP of this match. And I'm really enjoying her work. It seems like ever since she's come on with God's Eye, you can tell that Shuri's taking her under her wing and making her strikes and submissions, you know, that she's obviously came into the Stardom Dojo with, make them mean more, make them better, knowing when to put them, the timing on them as well. So in the short time she's been with God's Eye, you've already seen her improve. And again, God's Eye, when they're setting up these multi-person tag matches, I'm assuming it's Shuri and Mirai that are probably putting the crux of these matches together. They're doing a great job making sure Rana Yugami shines, which I just love the unselfishness of just the whole company that is Stardom, because we see it with rookies all the time. So really, again, the semi-main, the FWC tag match was my favorite of the show, but this one was right there as well. I actually had it at 3 3/4 stars. And again, anytime you get any Utami and Shuri in the ring, even if it's for just brief moments, it's always really fun stuff. And as well as I thought Sai Kamatani and Shuri, their interactions, they did a great job with the two of them. They had some segues in that match, and that's like the one big singles match I really want to see is Shuri and Sai, just because both of them had such a phenomenal run with their respective championships 2 years ago.
Yeah, completely agree. And Rana Yagami gets extra points for me after I find out that she plays drums and is into heavy metal. So Rana Yagami is now a huge favorite of the Stardom cast. So if we see her at Philly Mania, we will be talking metal with Rana Yagami. Obviously, Matt, I know you want to talk a little bit about the main event, but you talk about Rana Yagami being sort of the focus of that 10-woman tag match, and I think Yuzuki was also a little bit of a focus in this main event. I know she ended up submitting to the figure 4, but again, she doesn't look out of place in a match that contains Micah, Mina, and Mayu, does she?
No, not at all. And again, they did a great job. As soon as the bell rang, we started with Mayu and Mina. Again, smart. You're building up towards the IWGP championship match that we just reviewed. That was a few days earlier. But again, the majority of this match had Yuzuki in it. And you know Yuzuki's eating the pinfall. But again, they threw her out there with the former white belt champion, the current red belt champion, and a returning Xena. And Xena is another one that's, you know, I know she's not a rookie, but she was in Stardom for a hot minute. She comes back and she's fantastic. So, and again, and of course, Saida, my man. Saida was awesome in this match. Chops to Micah, lariats to Xena. The chop exchanges between Saida and Xena seems to be something on these cards that I really look forward to. But yeah, again, they did a great job of putting, you know, Mayu did her stuff, Saida did her stuff. But the crux of this match was to get Yuzuki more reps, get her in the ring with different wrestlers, you know, making sure her ring timing is good, her conditioning is good. And again, she's another one that is absolutely hitting it out of the park. This, you know, these crop of rookies that Stardom has, they're just unbelievable. And obviously with Saka Kurora coming back in 2 weeks as well, it's going to be interesting to see where she goes. So Yeah, Yuzuki, probably low-key MVP of this main event, my friend. I had this one at 3 3/4 stars.
Yeah, it did. It had a structure very similar to the other EXV versus Stars multi-women that we've seen in the build-up to this New Beginning show. But ultimately, when that formula works, why stray from it? So yeah, really, really enjoyed that. Let's move on then to the show from Gunma on the 24th of February 2024 from the GMS Gunma Exhibition Center. 384 people in attendance, and your results are as follows. In a four-way match, Hanako defeated Fukigen Death, Saki Kashima, and Mayu Iwatani, pinning Fukigen Death with a pinfall reversal in 5 minutes and 11 seconds.
Does that make her the champion? She now the IWGP Women's Champion because she has technically a win over Mayu. Rob, how does that work?
I think that puts her in contention. Book it now. Hanako versus Mayu Iwatani, Tokyo Dome. Book it now. 6-woman tag action. Oeda Tai, team of Momo Watanabe, Starlight, and Ruaka defeated the Stars team of Hanan Saida and Yuzuki. Momo pinning Yuzuki with the buzzsaw kick in 12 minutes and 39 seconds. 8-woman tag match next. Mei Seira, Suzu Suzuki, Julia, and Mei Sakurai defeated the Cosmic Angels team of Tam Nakano, Saori Ano, Yuna Mizumori, and Sayaka Kurora, with Julia submitting Sayaka Kurora with the STF in 13 minutes and 36 seconds. Tag team match, Utami Hayashida and Miyu Amasaki versus Oeda Tai's Natsuko and Rina ended in a time limit draw of 15 minutes in a match I know Matt was really excited about. Tag team match next, Fukuoka Double Crazy, Hazuki and Koguma defeated the Queen's Quest team of Saya Kamatani and Lady C, with Hazuki pinning Lady C with her top rope code breaker in 14 minutes and 3 seconds. And then in your 8-woman tag team main event, the EXV team of Maika, Mina Shirakawa, Xena, and Waka Tsukiyama defeated the God's Eye team of Shiori Mirai, Amisori, and Rana Yagami. Maika pinning Rana Yagami with the Sazanka in 11 minutes and 35 seconds. Matt Turner, I know that you were big on the time limit draw between Utami and Miyu and Natsuko and Rina, obviously ahead of their Future of Stardom match. Why were you so high on it?
Real quick, I just want to mention I'm all about Momo Watanabe using the buzzsaw kick as a finish. Obviously, we see in Stardom a lot of wrestlers have a lot of different finishers. I'm all about Momo kicking somebody in the head for a 3 count because that was brutal. Anywho, my man, maybe it's just me because I have my Queen's Quest colored love glasses on. But it seems like I say this every single show. You can put any combination of Queen's Quest wrestlers together in these multi-person matches, and it just works. And in match 4 and 5, it worked. Utami and Miyu, I'm not sure if they've ever had tag matches before. Obviously, they've had 6-person and 8-person matches. But Utami does a great job giving Miyu what she needs, as well as Tora and Rina. Obviously, Natsuko Tora, she's a main eventer, especially after that match she had with Julia in Korakuen Hall. She's one of those wrestlers that can go from mid-carder and put her in a main event on a big show, and it's going to do well. Utami is a main eventer on any show against any opponent. But the crux of this match was to build towards their Future of Stardom Championship match. We saw great tag work with Utami and Miyu, which surprisingly was excellent. Rina and Tora, they've tagged before, but Tora and Utami would do what they needed to do and then kind of get out of the way and let the story of Miyu and Rina play. Miyu has had a victory over Rina before. That's why she gets the title shot. This one goes to a time limit draw, basically just showing that, both of these ladies are so close of getting the win. So if you're looking at it from a kayfabe aspect, going into that match that they had the next day, it's like neck and neck. They're both equally matched, and they did a great job of just giving, again, Utami does what she needs to do, Tora does what she needs to do. They both get tag work in, and then let this match breathe to the bigger story that is Miyu versus Rina. That's one of the many reasons why I enjoyed this match so much. And it was one of my favorite matches, my second favorite match of the show. I had it 3 3/4 stars. And again, if you would have told me a month ago they were going to have this match and it would have went to a time limit draw, I'm like, why? It doesn't make sense. Just pin Miyu, just pin Rina. But they keep them protected for the next night. I think that's really, really good booking from the new bookers over at Stardom.
That is one thing I must admit that I am a big fan of, is the fact that they are putting more of a more of a focus on the Future of Stardom Championship and the fact that it is being defended more often. It does feel like we are seeing it more often, and I'd quite like to see the New Blood Tag Team Championships go that same way. And I like the fact that we are building proper feuds to this title. You know, we've had Miyu and Rina face off several times now before this. Both have exchanged wins. Both have exchanged wins in different ways. You know, Rina had to hit 2 consecutive double diving knee drops, and Miyu had to hit 2 tenzais to win that as well. And I was still convinced, by the way, at this point, that Miyu Amasaki was winning the Future of Stardom Championship, which Rob predicts it, therefore it is wrong. But yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed this match as well. I also thoroughly enjoyed the next match, the Fukuoka Double Crazy Tag against Saya Kamatani and Lady C. Again, Hazuki and Koguma, fantastic chemistry. Hazuki and Saya Kamatani, give me that singles match, Matt. Give me that singles match.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, the Saya Kamatani versus Lady C, we have not seen them team as a straight-up tag team in quite some time. And again, they fared very well. And again, who's on the other side? One of the best tag teams in all of Stardom and all of wrestling, Hazuki versus Koguma. And they were able to finally get their first win in quite some time. But it's nice to see that we do have some FWC tag matches on these cards. It really gives some more oomph into these shows. And hence, that's why you've been seeing these. One thing I do want to make mention before I forget, partner, is these 3 shows, there wasn't many empty seats. So we weren't sure how post-Rossi, how the fans were going to react. And it seems like we're getting great shows, great cards. We're getting the crowd being interactive and full houses. So that's really good to see. Yeah, great stuff. Of course, anytime we get Sai Kamatani and Hazuki, we talk about all the time on this show. We have flashbacks and great flashbacks to their match. Geez, a year ago. It's coming up on a year. It's just crazy how time flies. You know, my favorite white belt match of all time. I'm sure yours as well. But let's not forget, let's not dismiss how great Koguma and Lady C were both in this match. Really great exchanges. Lady C, it just seems like her new thing is to chop you, kick you in the head, and then when she gets the opportunity to choke slam you, to try to throw you up into the rafters, because good God, that choke slam is is really, really something. It's really, really something. And again, obviously FWC, they work great as a team. Sai and Lady C were fantastic as well. Really good stuff, and nice to see FWC get on the win board, and it's going to be interesting to see where they go with Hazuki and Koguma as a team, especially if Hazuki does, fingers crossed, win the Cinderella tournament. Again, you can do both. You know, we see May Sarah teaming with Suzu Suzuki, and, you know, obviously Utami, Sherry, when she was world champion, she was also Goddess of Stardom Tag Champ. So you can do both. I got no problem with it. Really good stuff. Glad it got the 14 minutes time to tell the story. And again, it's always great to see Hazuki and Koguma as a team. 3.5 stars, sir.
Yeah, again, everything you've just said. Lady C has improved hugely. I'd like to see her get a run in the Cinderella, but unfortunately you can't have all of the people in the Cinderella have a good run in the Cinderella, and I feel like Lady C probably isn't quite on that level of being elevated. However, you look at Waka Tsukiyama, who made it to the Final Four last year. Maybe Lady C can do that here. I really do like what she's doing in the ring, just being a big, dominant, great Carly style wrestler, which I know obviously you're a big fan of, because obviously Great Carly, the big brain chop and everything, Matt. I know that's obviously a huge thing for you. I was a big fan of the main event as well, even though the main event went just under 12 minutes. This was very, very short, considering it was an 8-woman tag.
Yeah, absolutely right, buddy. And did you notice like Sherry and Micah chasing each other around the arena? I thought that was really funny. I was like in the beginning. Did you notice that?
I did notice that. Did you notice? Obviously, I'd say did you notice? But of course, we then also had Mirai and Amisori chopping Waka's bum.
That seems to be the new thing. I know when she does like almost like that Tekla thing where she gets caught in the ropes. There was a match, I think it was on the last show we're going to review, where like she's getting kicked in the bum. It's kind of, but then she's using the hip attack as an offensive move. I noticed it like when EXV and these multi-person, and I'm going to give it some psychology, Rob, because that's what you're here for. You're here to give the Matt Turner. He's going to make sense of it. I try to make sense of
psychology of the hip attack.
Hold on. I'm going to make like very much on how I tried to, but failed, in your opinion, makes sense of psychology of Venom 2, Let There Be Carnage. So let me see if this is going to work on you. I noticed that Waka when EXP runs their shine in the beginning. But the shine isn't pull the curtain back a little. The shine is every member of the team will kind of get one or two moves in, and they'll do like tag team moves. When Waka gets her shine in, she uses the hip attack, which is basically her bum hitting the person in the head. So if you're like watching this and you're on the outside and you're thinking my friend is getting beat with this maneuver, let me try to take it out by either chop it or kick it. So that might be the psychology. We see Waka using her bum as an offensive move, and then one of these serious strikers will either chop it or kick it, maybe to take away some of the power. I don't know. That's the only psychology I can come up with, folks. Does that work for you, Ron? Did that make any sense whatsoever?
The idea of Amisori and Mirai looking
former champions.
Former champions. Mirai, former white belt champion, 2-time winner of the Cinderella, by the way. The fact that they are looking to grind down Waka Tsukiyama by chopping her repeatedly on the bottom, it's not exact like. No, it's not going to do anything. She's just not going to be able to sit down for a bit. Like, no, I'm sorry. I don't see the psychological impact of that at all. But there we are. It's quite an entertaining match, to be fair, but not in a way that I'd have thought, especially as God's Eye is supposed to be your dead serious people. Then you've got Mirai and Amisori taking in turns to chop Waka on the bum and Shiori chasing Micah around the ring. It's a bit chaotic, but in the best possible way.
Mirai versus Xena, though, of all those people that are in that match, and everybody's great, but Mirai and Xena, their exchanges in the ring, it was like, oh man, that's a singles match I want to see somewhere down the line. Maybe I have to look again at the brackets. Maybe it's somewhere we get sometime in the Cinderella. But Mirai and Xena, they weren't there for chopping anybody in the bums. They weren't there as two main eventers chasing each other around the ring. They were there for violence, my man. They were there for violence, and boy, they brought it. But yeah, probably my favorite match of this show. I actually had it 3 3/4 stars. And again, the fact they were able to get all that chaoticness and all that violence in less than 12 minutes with 8 people just goes to show you that Stardom does a great job at maximizing everybody's minutes in the ring.
The earliest Xena and Mirai would face off would be the semifinals.
Oh, probably not going to happen.
I'd be surprised. Xena, potentially. Her big roadblock on the way to the semifinal is Hazuki. And obviously Mirai's big. Mirai's got quite a few, actually. She's obviously got Hanan, Starlight Kid, and Suzu Suzuki in her sort of side of that left-hand side of the bracket. So I would be very, very surprised if Mirai and Xena face off. But we did get a little bit of a sampling there, and I do like it. So maybe as a singles match further on down the road, because we've seen like Stardom have these singles matches as in this 25th of February card, which we're going to talk about in a moment, where you do get little nuggets of really good matches. We saw Suzu Suzuki have a really good match with Yuzuki not long ago. I think it was on the 12th of February. That was really good. We saw Mirai versus Rani Yagami. That was really good as well. So Utami versus Lady C, another really good singles match on a random card. So maybe they will just put it on a random card, give it 7, 8, 9 minutes, and hell, it might be fantastic. We've seen what they can do, so I'd love to see it again. Let's move on then to that show, the 25th of February. Stardom in Utsonomiya 2024 in the Light Cube. Utsonomiya Toshigi. Another full house match, so the second out of 3 shows. 464 people in attendance. The results are as follows. Singles match open proceedings. Amisori defeated Rani Yagami with the Brainbuster in 6 minutes and 57 seconds. Singles match, Suzu Suzuki defeated Sayaka Kurora with the Buzzsaw Kick in 7 minutes and 48 seconds. 6-woman tag match follows. Stars, Hazuki, Yuzuki, and Koguma getting the pinfall over God's Eye, Shiori Mirai, and Saki Kashima, with Koguma pinning Mirai, which I thought was interesting. Again, both the same side of that bracket in the Cinderella tournament, pinning her with the schoolboy in 10 minutes and 28 seconds. 6-woman tag action followed again with Mei Seira, Julia, and Mei Sakurai defeating the Queen's Quest team of Utami, Saya Kamatani, and Lady C. Mei Seira submitting Lady C with the Shooting Star Dragon Sleeper in 11 minutes and 46 seconds. 10-woman tag match, the EXV team of Maika, Mina Shirakawa, Hanako, Xena, and Waka Tsukiyama defeated the Uedatai team of Nats Katora, Momo Watanabe, Starlight Kid, Fukigen Death, and Ruaka, with Xena pinning the Clown with the Thunderstruck in 12 minutes and 18 seconds. And if ever there was a size mismatch, it was Xena versus Fukigen Death. We then, in the semi-main event, had Rina defending her Future of Stardom Championship, making her 6th successful title defense, defeating Miyu Amasaki, submitting her with the Hydrangea in 10 minutes and 54 seconds, and in the process moving up to joint second when it comes to most successful title defenses with the Future of Stardom belt. And then in your main event, we had the 6-woman tag match, the Stars team of Mayu Iwatani, Hanan and Saya Ida, defeating the Cosmic Angels team of Tam Nakano, Yuna Mizumori, and Sayori Anu, with Hanan pinning Yuna with the backdrop hold in 15 minutes and 38 seconds. Matt Turner, what did you think of this card?
This was solid. I liked how, again, you mentioned the focus we're getting on the Future of Stardom Championship. We got a pre-show contract signing, which we didn't get anybody going through any tables. Mayu didn't hit anybody with a car, but still, it's the fact that they did this in front of the crowd and the fact that they put it on Stardom World just goes to show, again, we're heating up the future, pun intended, of Stardom by just, making that match even bigger, having a contract signing. So I thought that was really well. I completely forgot match number 2 with Suzu and Sayaka Kurora. There is, and I don't know, I'm going to have to check with some of our brass and Stardom if Suzu is going to be able to make the Cinderella tournament, because she may have been arrested and or charged for attempted murder, because boy, Sayaka Kurora, holy geez, Suzu. And it just seems like that's what everybody's thing is. It's like Sayaka Kurora, again, that match where I mentioned 2 weeks ago where where she went against the Cosmic Angels before she formally became a member or an understudy, where Tam just beats the bejesus out of her. And it seems like anytime she's in the ring with any members of God's Eye, I'm like, oh, poor Sayaka Kurora. She's got this bubbly personality, and now she's got to get beat up by Mirai. She's got to get beat up by Shuri. She's got to get beat up by Ami, sorry. And Suzu Suzuki was probably like, oh, I'm wrestling Sayaka Kurora. And then probably went up to Shuri and was like, hey, I'm wrestling this rookie. What should I do? I'm like, oh, do what I do. Just hit her as hard as humanly possible. Got it. Great. No problem. So, but God bless Sakura. She gets better each and every time in the ring. But the rest of the show was pretty solid. But the 2 matches, let's just talk about the semi-main and the main event, because these were 2 of the best matches on these 3 shows that we're talking about. Rina versus Miyu Amasaki. I knew the result of this match before going in. And usually if it's not like a pay-per-view, because I watch the pay-per-views live, I usually don't care if I'm spoiled. I'm spoiled. It's not that big of a deal. I really wish that I didn't see the results for this one, because it had a great build. First of all, Miyu Amasaki, congratulations. She finally gets her Queen's Quest robe, Rob. That's a big deal. Almost as important as winning the Future Stardom Championship. Literally to the point, if I watched this live, I would have been like, because we talked about it last week, this was a coin flip. We didn't know who was going to win. Either Rina or Miyu winning would be the right decision. Both of these are great. They're both great flag bearers for that Future of Stardom Championship. But if I would have saw this live or saw it without knowing who won, with Miyu coming out with a new robe and she looked fantastic, I would be like, and more confident as well, I would have been like, yeah, she's taking the title, which then completely throws you off and you get to the finish. They have a really good match 6-7 minutes in, and then they start building the falsies where they're teasing the hydrangea, they're teasing the pink devil, they're teasing the double knee bomb from the top rope. Miyu Amasaki, the way she gets into some of these DDTs, it's just like next level stuff. You can tell she's being coached very well from Izumi, because she's able to kind of misdirect where she's going to go with some of these DDT attempts, and she has so many different variations. And then the way she's able to get in the Tenzai, there's one point where she gets the Tenzai and then she goes for it again, and she literally takes the sit down bump, and Rina gets ever so close to taking the face bump and then stops and then grabs Miyu's legs and then rolls her to the jackknife. And I thought that was the finish, but that wasn't the finish. Then there was the one point where Rina's really using the hydrangea. And of course, I love how she uses it. One, it's akin to the late great Hana Kimura, who was a mentor to Rina back in 2019. And again, the way she uses it, the way she locks it in for someone who's only 16, 17 years old, I thought it was great. But there's one point where she goes to lock it in. I'm like, okay, she's going to lock in. This is going to be the finish. But as soon as she gets close to locking it in, Miyu pushes her off the ropes, hits a tornado DDT, and then hits one of the 10's eyes. I thought that was great. Literally, the point was like, did I read this wrong? I thought that Rina won this match because I thought that was the finish. But ultimately, she goes back again. It's psychology. She goes back to the hold that almost got her to the win, the hold that actually got her the win over Ami Sourei to win the belt. About a year or so ago, going to the hydrangea. And the fact that this match got 11 minutes, we talked about it last week, how Hanen's championship reign was great, but a majority of those matches were pay-per-view openers getting 5, 6, 7 minutes. The fact this was a sub-main event in Rina's hometown and it got close to 11 minutes just made it that much better. This is another fantastic match in Rina's catalog and a really good one. Probably the best Miyu Amasaki singles match she's probably had since that match with Azumi at New Blood. This was great. I gave it 4 stars. And this match elevated both Miyu and Rina. Again, you get Rina over, you get the belt over, you get Miyu over in a loss, and you get the match over. So all the things that you need to get over on a big match like this, on a semi-main event, in a sold-out show for a championship, in a show that had a contract signing beforehand, you can't ask for anything better. You really, really can't. And the fact that Rina, who gets his babyface pop, and even Miyu got over. Again, Rina it's her hometown, so Miyu gets the very like, hey, great job. And then they're chanting for Rina. Rina gets the clap, and then what she does, she has to do a little bit of heel by saying, people in Stardom are stupid. How come I wasn't the main event? I thought that was great. Rina is such a great comical, like bad guy heel for someone that's only 17 years old. I just love the whole Rina presentation. And again, this roster is just so deep, and it's a great job that they've been able to highlight Rina and this championship, the last month or so.
Yes, she's a brat. And
That's it.
She plays it really, really well. And it was, immediately when she turned heel, it was a case of, she's a brat and she does it really, really well. Miyu Amasaki, I think, here really did showcase the progress in her, especially. Rina has always been solid. I don't remember a bad Rina match. And she was great here, but Miyu Amasaki, the stuff that she was doing, like that top rope DDT, oh my God, that looked horrendous. But the confidence to now do these moves, like she's always been relatively athletic, but the way that she is now putting these moves together, telling stories with it, that's the next level for Miyu. And I think her and Rina were able to do that together here. I thought this was a fantastic match. Far surpassed my expectations. I knew it would be good, did not think it would be this good. I think he did a beautiful job summarizing it, my friend. I gave it 3 3/4 stars. Really, really good match. And I think of these sort of 3 shows, this is one of the matches you absolutely do need to go and check out. Really, really good match. And the fact that we are getting matches like this for the Future of Stardom Championship really does bode well for Stardom moving forward, especially once we get this talent split where people are going to need to step up. We know that Rina and Miyu Amasaki, wherever or whatever company they end up in, they are able to step up. The main event, Matt. I know that was the other match you wanted to talk about. Hanan Mania running wild, my friend.
Yeah, real quick, though, looks like we're getting Rina versus Hina somewhere down the line because she called out her sister. So that is going to be very interesting because Hina is another one that when she puts wrestling above school, which, again. But anyway, just kidding, folks. That's kind of just possible.
Matt, it is worth pointing out, you saying that. I know I've said this for the last 3 Rina tile defenses. She's not going to drop it to Moran on the Cinderella tournament fight, opening night. Would be... That's sort of a 99%, 1% that she's definitely not dropping it. And the 1%, it's professional wrestling. Stuff can always go wrong. But Hina is the only one of that family that hasn't won the Future of Stardom belt. Out of Rina, Hanan, and Hina is the only person that has never won it. Can you imagine how awkward that is at Christmas time? Rina and Hanan talking about their respective championship reigns. How many defenses have you got? How many defenses have you got? What was your best tile match? And Hina's just sitting there all on a lonesome, all quiet, not able to join in on the conversation. Hina is going to take this belt from Rina. Justice for Hina, Matt.
Hina's going to win the belt, and then when they have their Easter dinner, Hanan's going to be like, yeah, here's my Cinderella crown. It's like,
Whoa.
oh, we're so close. We're so close. And then the father is gonna come in and he's gonna go, are you girls ready? And then Hannah's gonna go, yeah, HA. And he goes, no, I mean for dinner. I mean for dinner.
I hope that Hannon introducing herself to every single room that she comes into with, are you ready? And then starts singing her own theme as she enters the room. If she doesn't do that, why does she not do that?
I'm super excited for Philly Mania if she's on that card. Again, we'll have the roster split, so we don't know which way she's going. If she's on that card, I know that you'll have a few in you, courtesy of the 84,000 drinks that I owe you for all these terrible bets I do. But I'm excited because more than likely we'll be standing next to each other. If there's a meet and greet or when she comes out, I'm just gonna have my phone. I'm gonna put it right to your ear, and maybe for a split second you will think she's coming out to her old theme just to see, like, wait a minute, what is this? And like, oh, it's just all this vodka that Matt made me drink.
Imagine. Yeah, main event, Matt. What did you think?
You know, this was, to be honest, when I was watching this show, it was kind of a long day for me. This was literally like kind of the last thing that I had to do. And I was watched the co-main event first, which I thought was great. So I started this match, and of course, I'm always excited to watch any wrestling because I love wrestling, especially with these 6 wrestlers. But I was a little bit exhausted from my day, and the bell rings. And Rob, you know, the little things in wrestling really pop me. And Saida and Yuna start with a phenomenal lockup, like an old school lockup. I'm like, okay, here we go. And then they go for a tackle off, and then they go for chops. And then they usually do with a Mayu led Stars team, you know where it's going to go, where you're just going to get this crazy 6-person teamwork from Stars. So I was like, all right, I was tired 8 seconds ago, but just a lockup and then the tackle off. And then Mayu's like, okay, enough with the hard hitting stuff. Let's get some really cool, flashy stuff. I thought it was a great way to start this match, a great way to start off this main event, considering they just saw the crowd was really, really hot for that Future of Stardom tag match. So kudos to probably Mayu and Tam and probably Saori, who kind of put that beginning together. Saori stuff with Mayu was great. Yuna Mizumori is just another one, very much like Saida, someone that's on the undercard that continues to shine in these multi-person matches when you have main eventers, again, like Mayu, like Tam, like Saori in there. Obviously, the exchanges with Mayu and Tam are something that we always sit up a little bit more for, and because that's a match we still, their stuff has never been settled yet, and it's going to be interesting to see them as a tag team in what might be the main event on that Cinderella match. But eventually, everybody cleared way for Hanan towards the end, which I thought was great. Her and Yuna's stuff at the end was terrific. Hanan's feed and just the way she's able to make wrestlers look good. And the fact she's only 19 years old, she made Yuna look like an absolute monster here. Not that Yuna needed much help. I sing Yuna's praises a lot on this show. In my opinion, she was the most improved wrestler in all of wrestling in 2023. But some of these lariats that she hit Hanan with were just absolutely just brutal. And then ultimately, it's just for Hanan to be able to hit, backdrop, 2 backdrop suplexes, especially the backdrop hold onto Yuna, which looked absolutely brutal. It looked like she just properly, Steve Williams dropped her on her head. I like the Future of Stardom match, maybe just a little bit better, but this one was right there. I gave this one 4 stars as well. And I like the fact that they gave this one time. Again, 15 minutes, 38 seconds for everybody to tell their story. That's always great seeing Tam and Saori, team as well. I thought everybody looked good. I thought both teams looked good. But for me, it was just Hanan was the MVP of this match in a great way. Again, it's her hometown too. We mentioned it's Rina's hometown. Well, yeah, they're sisters. Her hometown too. So great way to send the hometown fans home happy, which was a great show, backed by 2 great matches back to back in the 2 main events.
Yeah, Hanan, Rina, and Hina are from Toshigi. I believe they're from a different city than Utsonomiya. I believe it's just down the road. And Hanan actually says in her post-match promo, can we run a show there to President Okada? And he sort of goes, we'll do our best. So maybe we'll see Hanan and Rina and Hina in their hometown proper sooner rather than later. But again, just that brief exchange, Hanan and Saori Anou, God, it could happen, Matt. It could happen. Hanan winning the Cinderella and challenging Saori Anou. I was so convinced that it was going to be Hazuki. And now I feel like all of the signs are pointing to Hanan. And Jesus, that's not a bad thing by any stretch of the imagination. I'm very, very excited about the premise of that.
Yeah, I think I sent you a picture. Somebody sent me like a picture collage of these three matches where they tease the next possible three challengers with like Hazuki and Julia, Hanan and Sareee, which was a great shot, really pretty much to end this show. And as well as Momo versus Micah. And, Micah is going to be needing some more challengers as we're getting into, coming off the Cinderella, going into the spring and summer months to give her, a V2, a V3, a V4. Momo Watanabe, my man, not a bad choice considering the fact how great their match was at Korakuen Hall at the end of last year. But Sareee has a lot on her plate. Potentially we have this Hana match. Potentially we have, again, maybe we're betting with our hearts, the Hazuki match. The Natsupoi thing has been teased. And here's something else, and we'll talk about it next week when we do our preview of the Cinderella tournament. What if Sareee pins Sareee? Do we get a Sareee versus Sareee white belt match somewhere down the road, or Hashimoto? Those are all matches that I think everybody would be interested in. So it's really nice to see that there's a lot of people lined up for pretty much all the champions in Stardom, and every single one is like, yeah, I'll pay money to see that. Yeah, I'll pay money to see that. I can't wait for that. Well, I can't wait for myself and Rob to talk about that, or can't wait for it to review if that match happens. So Stardom, again, the new booking regime, granted they're handed the best roster in all of wrestling, but what they've been able to do in the short time that they've had it, they've done a great job. Let's just hope they're able to keep up with it.
And with that, Matt Turner, before we get into what is coming up on the 2nd and 3rd of March, because Stardom have announced those cards, the cards for, let me get this right, for Kanazawa and Joetsu. Hoetsu? I think it's Hoetsu. Joetsu?
Jogetsu.
Jotsu.
God bless you.
Ketsu. Jotsu. I'm going to call it Joetsu. I'm going to double down and call it Joetsu. I'm sure someone in the comments will tell me I'm wrong, and that's absolutely fine. I'm used to being wrong. I'm British. But we've got those two cards, and we will go through those shortly. However, Matt Turner, you know what time it is. Are you ready? It's only Io and Kairi watch.
Are you ready? Dun dun. Yes, Io and Kairi watch. So we go to SmackDown on the 23rd, but which, from I understand, it was pre-taped because WWE was in Perth, Australia. But they showed Dakota Kai coming off a commercial break. She's being helped by two of the trainers, and it looks like she's favoring her knee as she gets to the training room. She in between two different commercial breaks, Bailey basically tells the trainers to leave. She needs to have a minute with her. Again, we don't know where Dakota Kai is ending up on this side of the Bailey and Damage Control split. And she says, I didn't see anybody, but I know nobody saw it, but it was Damage Control. They took out my knee. Again, they don't show anybody beating up Dakota Kai. They just show Dakota Kai with an injured knee and saying that it was Damage Control. Bailey then apologizes to Dakota Kai, saying that I didn't trust you because I didn't know. It's difficult for people to trust. I apologize. I know that you're on my side. This next week sets up, Rob, Dakota Kai and Bailey versus Kairi and Asuka. Now, if I know WWE booking, and I know WWE booking, this clearly shows that Dakota Kai's knee is going to be 100%. Somewhere down this match, he's going to turn on Bailey. I see it coming a mile away, my friend. So I think that's the way they're going to go with it. Again, keep in mind a couple weeks ago when Dakota Kai chased off Kairi, Io, and Asuka with the chair, she never hit any of them. So that would be the psychology behind it. So that's all that happened on SmackDown. However, Elimination Chamber, we do get a WWE Women's Tag Team Championship match on the pre-show as the Kabuki Warriors of Kairi and Asuka taking on the team of Candice LeRae and the hometown hero of one Indy Hartwell. Now, Rob, believe it or not, my friend, we actually have had some on-site in Perth, Australia. We had somebody that gave us some notes all the way in Australia, my friend. So it's still humbling and blows my mind that we have listeners all over the world that listen to this show. But our good friend of the show, one Ella Dyer, and Ella, I'm pretty sure I'm pronouncing your name right, who I talked to quite a bit on Instagram, lives down in Australia and was able to provide some live notes of the show. And Ella is a big, big Mina Shirakawa fan, as well as Mercedes Monet. And Ella hit me up back in the summertime to tell me that she binge listened to about 20 hours of our podcast in about a week's time, which my wife then said that would be a form of torture. Neither here nor there. Ella is she's somebody that I do enjoy talking to on a weekly basis. But basically, she sent me some pictures from her seats over there in Perth, Australia, and said the Kabuki Warriors came out to massive boos, but in a good way, because they're supposed to be heels, and Indy Hartwell came out to massive cheers because she is the hometown hero. This match, there really wasn't much to it. They all worked hard. It was very easy story to tell. Again, with Indy being the hometown hero, they shined her up really good in the beginning. Kairi and Asuka they were able to kind of bump all over for her. Candice LeRae comes in, she gets quick heat on her. Eventually, there's the hot tag to Indy Hartwell. She comes in running amok on both Kairi and Asuka. Candice does a lion salt onto Asuka for a 2 count. Indy Hartwell goes to come off the top rope. However, Kairi pushes her off the top rope. We get some Asuka strikes onto Candice LeRae that eventually leads to the assisted insane elbow from Kairi. What I mean by assisted, it's Asuka hitting basically the Sting Scorpion Death Drop as Kairi comes off the top rope with the insane elbow for the 3 count. Again, by no means was it, Crazy Star versus Saori Poi, but it was an easy story to tell, and the crowd was very hot. Again, especially for anything offensive Indy did and anything cheating that Kairi and Asuka did. So good stuff. A really good way to start the show on the pre-show. And Ella, thank you so much for the pictures and for the online, not the online, but basically the live comments that you were sending to me. And thank you so much for all the support that you show the Stardom Cast.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Ella. I can't quite believe that you spent 20 hours listening to mine and Matt's voice, mine especially, because I can get proper nasally. So that's all credit to you. Thank you so much. Let's move on then to just quickly going through these 2 shows that we've got going on this week. As I've mentioned, that first show on the 2nd of March is in Kanazawa, and the card is as follows. Saki Kashima versus Rana Yagami. Sayaka Kurora and Yuna Mizumori of Cosmic Angels taking on the Queen's Quest team of Saya Kamatani and Miyu Amasaki. Hazuki Hana and Koguma and Saya Ida stars taking on the Uedatai team of Natsukatora, Starlight Kid, Momo Watanabe, and Ruaka. The Queen's Quest team, it is worth noting that Azumi is back from her poor health, which is great. Utami and Azumi versus Mei Seira and Mei Sakurai. What looks like your semi-main event is Julia, Suzu Suzuki, Shiori and Mirai, and Amisori in a 10-woman elimination tag. Sorry, not elimination, 10-woman tag, sorry. Listen to that for a team. Just again, Julia, Suzu Suzuki, Shiori, Mirai, and Amisori. Christ. Taking on the EXV team of Maika, Mina, Shirakawa, Xena, Hanako, and Waka Tsukiyama. And then in your main event, Mayu Iwatani and Yuzuki versus Shiori Anu and Tam Nakano. Matt, what do you think of that card?
Another loaded one, my man. Another loaded one. It's really nice how they're sprinkling all these rookies in with a lot of the main eventers, not only in the same corner, but the opposite corner. You know that Mayu is going to make sure Yuzuki's looking the best that she does. And, Rana, she's in it with the Shuri and Mirai. They're going to make sure they shine them up. So, again, we talk about all the time on the show, the best way you get better at anything in life is with reps, especially when you have certain people like that coaching you to get better. So another solid show, especially with those last 2 matches. So I'm excited to watch those and call them back with you next week, my friend.
And then on the 3rd, which is in the place that is either Joetsu or Hoetsu, I don't know, it is on Sunday, the 3rd of March. We have got the Queen's Quest team of Saya Kamatani and Azumi taking on the EXV team of Waka Tsukiyama and Hanako. It is worth noting that it looks like Waka and Hanako are being groomed as the latest challengers to win Gory's New Blood titles. Nevertheless, don't think they're winning there. God's Eye team of Shiori and Rana Yagami taking on Julia and Mei Sakurai. Mayu Iwatani, Koguma, and Saya Ida taking on the God's Eye team of Mirai Amisori and Saki Kashima. The Queen's Quest team of Utami Hayashishita and Miyu Amasaki taking on Crazy Star. That's a closet match of the night. There you go.
Yeah.
closely followed by Maika, Mina Shirakawa, and Xena taking on Hazuki, Hanan, and Yuzuki. That's going to be really quite tasty as well. And then we got an 8-woman tag as well. Cosmic Angels, Saori Anou, Tam Nakano, Sayaka Kurora, and Yuna Mizumori taking on the Ueda Tai team of Natsuko Tora, Starlight Kid, Momo Watanabe, and Ruaka. Matt, obviously, Queen's Quest, Utami and Miyu versus Crazy Star, going to be a fantastic match. Can't wait for that. But that 6-woman, Maika, Mina Shirakawa, and Xena versus Hazuki, Hanan, and Yuzuki, do not sleep on that. That's going to be fantastic.
No, I mean, Yuzuki more than likely is taking the fall, but she's going to look good. She's got really good, and I meant to make mention it. Easy, Matt. We've only been podcasting for 3 hours. Made to make mention that Mina does a great job with all these rookies, especially with Yuzuki. It seems like the two of them have some really good low-key chemistry, considering the fact they've only been in the ring a few times. So that's going to be good. And of course, Hanan in these main event spots, they do a great job making her look fantastic for obvious reasons. And then most importantly, my man, you just have Hazuki violence onto everybody. Xena's just been really bringing the violence since she's been back. Mina is a main eventer. Maika is obviously the main eventer. She's carrying the World of Stardom Championship. But then again, of course, you're across from Hazuki. You're probably, if I have to say who is my favorite wrestler in all of wrestling, it's probably her for a zillion different reasons. But yeah, those two matches, the QQ versus Crazy Star match, I think I know how it's going to end, but regardless, I don't care. It's going to be terrific. Again, I made mention a few minutes ago about how great the low-key team of Utami and Miyu Amasaki is, and going up against Crazy Star, that's going to be terrific. But yeah, the utter violence and great wrestling we're going to see in that main event is, once again, fine people at Stardom World, please get those up in a few days so we can watch them and then talk about them on this show next week.
Completely agree. And that, believe it or not, actually brings to an end our episode. However, Matt, I have got one last question for you, if you don't mind.
Rob Goodwin, you can ask me anything, my man. Go ahead.
Julia's new hair, the black long hair that she debuted at the 25th show, where does that rank for you in the great tier list of Julia's hairstyles?
Rob Goodwin, I know that you've kind of, just because you're insanely busy, that you kind of pulled away a little bit from roundtable discussion. I don't know if we should give this one away. This one should be a roundtable discussion. But I'll tell you what, I'm a charitable man. Where it just goes to show you how amazing Julia is. She's literally made all these different hairstyles and different styles work for her between the Orange Julius, between GI Julia. My favorite, maybe just because I love Hana Kimura, is when she had the Hana Kimura braids and the official Hana Kimura tribute match she had with Konami back at the very first Dream Queendom. That one's probably number one. Number two is probably when she won the red belt and she had like her hair just straightened out and the red streaks in there. This one might be up there. My sister-in-law is a hairdresser. So what I might do, Rob, is I might take all 84 of her hairstyles over the last 4 years and send them into my sister-in-law. I'm like, can you rank these for me? So now, because again, Rob, obviously when it comes to writing and having facts, you're the professional. When it comes to professional wrestling and talking about psychology of how to break down somebody's bum, that's my go-to. Maybe when it comes to hairstyles, my man, I got somebody in the family. This is what makes the Stardom cast so great, my friend, is we can just go to ask anybody for certain things and you'll get some sort of nonsense one way or another. But Julia just looks fantastic. Again, it just goes to show the confidence she oozes. It doesn't matter what hairstyle they put her in or what gimmick they put her in. She just makes it work. And it's just a credit to just one of the best talents we've seen in wrestling. Like, she's just unbelievable. But how about you, my man?
I mean, to be fair, you've said that, and I completely agree, to the point where Tam actually started or continued the feud with Julia after she'd shaved Julia's head at Budokan, because even with half her hair shaved, she still looked cool. She still pulled that hairstyle off. She comes out bald, freshly shaved head, still looks like a badass. So literally any hairstyle apparently Julia can pull off. It's up there, the dark black hair. I don't think it's quite as cool as I know it's a really niche choice for me, but I think the Budokan style where she got half her head shaved, she just looked really cool, really badass, and it was an accidental hairstyle, so There you go. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is why I'm not a hairdresser. But, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for listening. Let us know where your or what your tier list is of Julia hairstyles, because, of course, that is the most important thing happening in Stardom at the moment. We can't wait to hear your feedback. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you to everyone that subscribes. If you haven't, you can subscribe anywhere you get your podcasts. If you could leave us a review, a 5-star review, and a comment would massively, massively help us out. If you haven't already subscribed to the Patreon, patreon.com/the StardomCast, you can join up for as little as $1, where you will get all of these episodes early and ad-free, as well as all the audio of our alternate commentaries as well. Phenomenal value for a singular $1 a month, if I do say so myself. Check out the revamped website, thestardomcast.com. You can check out all our social medias at the Stardom Cast, and you can talk to me on Twitter at @RealRobGoodwin. I'm hoping that I will have a full release date for Chasing the Dream next week. I am shooting for the middle of March, but fingers crossed, things can change. After all, this is pro wrestling. But Matt Turner, sound us off, good sir.
Absolutely, folks. I just want to let everybody know, and this is probably the perfect place for it, that Sareee Point is not the only tag team making their return on the 9th of March. Yes, myself and Andy Header, Team Blue and Gold, will be returning to professional wrestling in Jim Thorpe, Pennsylvania for Extreme Hybrid Wrestling. So if you're in the northeastern Pennsylvania area, come on out. If you're going to be there, let me know. I will make sure I supplied myself with plenty of merchandise and the new Stardom Cast QR code stickers. So again, that is the 9th, 3939, the 9th of March. Myself and Andy Header will be returning as a tag team to the independent scene. So I'm super looking forward to that. But other than that, questions, comments, any suggestions, let me know. Matt Turner OF on the Instagram and or the Twitter is the best way to get a hold of me. You want to shoot me an old-fashioned email, that's perfectly fine as well. The StardomCast22@gmail.com is the best way to get a hold of me via email. Folks, once again, I cannot say thank you enough for the fantastic support that you show, both myself and Rob, on a daily basis. Your positive remarks really means the world to us and just gives us the fuel to make this the best podcast it possibly can be. Because like I always say, folks, it's just not my podcast. It's our podcast. Because when all is together and everybody's different, everybody's special.